Good morning and welcome to our 81st weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way the call works is it's 3 hours long, and this is an AMA, meaning ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, personal questions, anything you want to. And if I don't answer your question correctly, or if I miss your question, just ask it again and put me on the spot, because I want to humbly help you, pardon me, if I possibly can. Now, before we get started today, I thought it'd be right if I talked a little bit about Corona, and we can all help each other, given the fact that we all probably know people that work in the medical field. My brother and my father are doctors, and also I have a very, very good friend whose mother worked in the Stanford University hospital system for about 30 years. And she shared with us what to do if you think you might have it and how to prevent as well. And so before I start with that, I want to talk about a couple things that I've done at my house. Number one, I know you can't get Purell. You can't find it anywhere, which for those of you overseas not familiar with the brand, it's a brand of hand sanitizer. So what I've done is I've actually gone onto eBay and I bought this knockoff version. It's called Assured. And of course, I don't get compensated by anybody. So it's ASSURED, Assured. These can be expensive. These can cost upwards, like close to $10 sometimes. But I have these and I give it to the kids as well. Now, it's really strange because a lot of big companies here, rightly so, have canceled work. People are working from home. It's the new digital reality. We can all be productive at home, which is great. However, my kids are all still in school, and I'm considering pulling them out by tomorrow until things subside. Everybody's healthy, thank God, but the school system is, for some reason, they haven't canceled school, and I think one of the reasons is because a lot of younger kids don't seem to be picking up this disease as much as older people. Now, we all know, and I'm certainly not a doctor, I've read a lot, just like you have, that it can last 14 days in your system before you find out if you have it. So here's what I've done, preventatively speaking, from at my house, to make sure that we're okay. So of course, hand sanitizer, and I put this in the kids' bags as well, and they're in our cars. Okay. Obviously, washing your hands, I don't need to go there for 20 seconds in between the webbings to warm water. What I also did, and this is a little bit out there, I might make a bit of a fool of myself, but I don't care. I want to help if I humbly can. So I bite my nails. I always have. And my kids as well. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So what I did was I bought this stuff here called Probell. So Probelle. It's anti-bite. You can get lots of knockoffs as well. Anti-bite, nail polish stuff, whatever. And you put it on your nails, and it tastes just awful. I don't think it's bad for you, but it tastes terrible. So it'll stop you from it. So anyway, there's that. Now what I want to do is I want to talk about this Stanford email. Okay. So let me go over here. And I'm just going to talk about some of the important items from this email. If you want, you can screenshot this. Okay. And this was a Stanford Hospital Board internal message that got copied from a friend of mine. Okay. So here's what you do, according to Stanford. And I'm not a doctor. Please don't take my word as gospel only. Do your own research. What you do is this. Every morning, you take a breath, and you hold your breath for more than 10 seconds. Then, if you completed that successfully without coughing and without discomfort or stiffness or tightness, it proves that there's no infection. Again, do your own homework. This is hearsay. Okay. Next up, take a few sips of water every 15 minutes and make sure that your mouth is never dry. And I never drink enough water, but make sure it's never dry. And they say that if you can, try to drink water that's warmer and not colder. And so what I do is, and for those of you who've been with me on this webcast for ages, you know that I love my coffee. And you can get coffee things like this that keep your coffee warm. You get cheap versions as well. And so when I'm done with my coffee, I actually pour my water in there. I know it's a little diluted, whatever. So it keeps it warm as well. Okay. And there's a great company called Corsair. COSAIR, that on Amazon sells their mugs as well that are heated up, which is nice. Okay. Next up, let's see. So if you have a runny nose, this is again from Stanford. If you're just joining us, you have a common cold, and coronavirus pneumonia is a dry cough with no runny nose. Okay, and we know that it's not heat resistant, but it can be hurt if it's very warm. Okay, so it hates the sun, which is great. Next up, if somebody sneezes, it takes about 10 feet before it drops to the ground, and it's not airborne. Okay, and then here's an issue. It says if it drops on a metal surface, it lives for at least 12 hours. So just be really, really careful with that. I still go to the gym. I'm thinking about just working out in my garage, but I go to the gym and I have this thing in my pocket before I go on the elliptical trainer and stuff. But it does worry me that people at the gym could get sick. Now, the issue I'm finding is that although nobody's at work anymore, a lot of people are working from home. But when I go to the gym, like I find it's actually pretty crowded. And I think one of the reasons is because a lot of people are working from home, whatever, and I go to the middle of the day. But I have noticed a difference. Okay, so we talked about drinking warm water is important. On fabric, it can survive for that long. It says here you should gargle as a prevention. Put salt in warm water, which is what I used to do when I was a kid when my throat hurts. And then it says, I can't emphasize this enough, drink plenty of water. So the symptoms are, and again, this is coming from Stanford, okay, and somebody affiliated with, I'm not going to discuss how and why this, but anyway. So the symptoms are, at first, it's going to infect your throat. So your sore throat will last 3 or 4 days. And you can read the rest of this, okay? But the first sign apparently is a sore throat. And you guys can read the rest of this if you want to. Anyway, you know what I'll do actually is I'm going to copy this and put this right now in this. I'm going to put this in this YouTube call you're watching right now. Okay, so that what happens is, you can just copy and paste it from here. That's actually a good idea. All right, so I'll go here to edit. Give me 1 second, and screw the question thing. Just going to paste this in. Okay, and again, I am not a doctor, so please do your own research. But if you want, you can read this. Okay, and it's in the description here. Okay, good. And give me 1 second. Let me obviously turn off. I don't want to be that guy who makes money off of this. Turn off monetization. Let's go here to off. Done. Okay, good. So that should be now within the description field here. And if you're just joining us and you're wondering what am I talking about, just rewind the video if you want, because I talked about this memo that came from Stanford University, which basically stipulates what to do if you think you have corona, and other ways to avoid it as well if you can. And I'm sure you've all been watching the media as well. Yeah, good. So what I did was I pasted it here as well. All right, let me go back to normal mode here. And then I will go and get your questions now. So welcome to the call, and thanks for joining us. And thanks for your patience with me reading that message. I thought it was very, very important. Yeah. So, and if anybody out there has any tips to share with the rest of us in terms of how we can prevent ourselves from getting it or stop the spread from going to our loved ones, et cetera, just let me know. It's frightening because a lot of well-known people are starting to get it. Like Tom Hanks, I'm sure you all saw the news, got it. He and his wife, Rita, he sent out a wonderful tweet yesterday on it. He's a good man. And there's a lot of politicians as well that are actually working from home. And we just don't know if we have it, because it can take up to 14 days after you get it for it to hit your bloodstream. That's what we know now. Again, please know that I'm not a doctor at all. My brother and my father are, so I get a lot of tips from them. But the most important thing I can say is if you go to the description field of today's video, and I turn monetization off, of course, I'm not whatever. But if you go to the description field of today's video, you'll see an email that I got from a friend whose mom worked in the Stanford University hospital system for 30 years. And that email, and again, I'm not a doctor, do your own research, but that email contains tips on how to make sure that you prevent it. And if you think you might have come into contact with somebody, obviously see a doctor first, but read the email because there's some tips there as well. And then also for me personally, what I've done is, and thank God we're fine, but because I bite my nails, I have this anti-bite nail stuff I put on my nails. Tastes awful. And I put it on my kids' nails too. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. They bite their nails as well. And then if you can't find Purell, then you can buy knockoff brands on eBay. And I think this was close to, $10. Yeah, but anyway, so just want to humbly help if I possibly can. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Seeing lots of good mornings. Good morning, Canal. Good morning, Melody. And I hope you're in great health and your family as well, and your two wonderful children. Thank you. And then Rudy is saying, good morning, Chris. Glad to be able to watch for a bit. I've missed this so much. God bless you. Thank you. God bless you more. And I think you'd mentioned that you had an insurance startup, and I hope that's going well for you. Thank you. Okay, and if anybody's not seen the movie Rudy, and if you're a football fan, you got to see it. It's about the Fighting Irish, about Notre Dame, about somebody that should not have made the football team, believing his dreams. He was a walk-on, and he actually made the team, which is awesome. I love sports movies. Okay, great. Yeah, Melody is saying, I saw some hand sanitizer for $50. Dude, I was on Amazon, and I saw Purell for a couple $100, and it made me sick. Like, I'm not that guy that trashes people with negative reviews, but I wanted to write a negative review. But obviously, you have to purchase the product first. Otherwise, it doesn't show up all the time. But Jeff Bezos has done a good job actually removing a lot of those and penalizing people that have been jacking up prices materially. Now, what I do know has happened is a lot of people here in the Bay Area, they have a lot of family back in China. And of course, they're worried for good reason. What they've done is they bought a lot of these, like the smaller ones, and they shipped a lot of these back home to their families. Yeah. Okay. And then Melody is saying, I'm going to try to launch my online course soon. Awesome. Since many kids will be at home. Oh, that's right. Yeah. But it will be online teaching live. What are your thoughts about this, Chris? I think it's awesome. I think it's great. And Melody, I know you're familiar with this, but because I mentioned it before on the call, and you've been with us for ages. For those of you not familiar with Melody, she's awesome. She's from Atlanta. She's a teacher, and she's starting to teach online. So you can always just search for my name and then Udemy. Okay, and this is not about me making money because there are 2 free courses I want to tell you about on how to teach online. And so I published a couple of them. And I did it in many different languages. Some of the reviews aren't that great, you can see. But the course is called 40 Tips on How to Make a Great Online Course. Okay, and it's free. And it's based on 40 mistakes I've made in the past year teaching so you can work smarter and not harder. And again, it's free. So what I'll do is instead of you going to my landing page, I'll paste it here for you. Okay, and there's another one I did as well, which was a lot longer, like 4 or 5 hours, based on 40 more mistakes I made. As Michael Jordan says, and it's on my wall there, I failed over and over again, and that's why, Michael succeeds. Here's the other one. So copy link address. And I poured my heart into these to try to help everybody teach online. Again, I made them, I think, a year or 2 ago, each one. But that will help you out tremendously, starting teaching online. And I don't get any sort of goody points from Udemy for ever mentioning this stuff because Udemy is an algorithm anyway. The best courses sell because the best courses sell. So yeah. But hopefully that's helpful to you, Melody. And yeah, and if you guys, anybody's interested in actually teaching live, which is what I do, what you can do is just ask me questions during this weekly webcast on how to do it, because I use something called a Wirecast software to do it, and I'll get to the questions in a second. I know there's lots there. Sorry. It's a product called Wirecast. You can use a free version of this product, which is a little bit harder to use, called OBS, or Open Broadcast Software, OBS. So Melody, if you want, you can get a free trial of this Wirecast thing. And again, I don't ever get comped for mentioning this stuff. Or you can try OBS, and they're not that hard to use. Melody, I have a course that teaches you how to do all this. Send me a private email later. I know you have my address. We exchanged messages before, and I'll send it to you for free, of course. All right, but hopefully that'll help out with that. So let me go back here to normal size Chris. All right, and I'll get this out of the way. Great. All right. Let's see what's next. Yeah, teaching live at home is doable. Like I've been doing it since December, live. December 2nd, we started this program thing I'm teaching online. And we have 2 time zone sessions. So I have students from 41 countries, 158 students. It's definitely doable. It's definitely doable. And my kids actually, their schools are talking about a contingency plan, a backup plan to teach online. And Stanford, and I think San Francisco State even, I think they might have also all canceled classes. And Menlo, which is a prep school in Aspen, a private school. My kids go to public school, but Menlo is a private school. They canceled as well classes because I think one person, I think affiliated with the school, had it. And the crazy thing is that, again, it takes 14 days for us to know if you actually have it or not. So it's a bit frightening. So anyway, I think the reality is that more people are going to be doing stuff online, like Zoom meetings, etc., Skype, all that good stuff. All that good stuff. And obviously, if anybody feels even slightly sick, just stay home. Yeah, it's the best, most patriotic thing you can do, or global patriotism, if there's such a concept. Okay, next up is John Klee, who's from Rochester. Hey, John, is saying, what do you think about the Wells Fargo and their fake account scandal? Yeah, I'm not totally up to speed on that. I'm very, very sorry about that. I do know that WFC, Wells Fargo stock, the ticker, along with many major banks, is down 40% from the recent highs. So you got to ask yourself, is Wells Fargo 40% less of a company since the beginning of this year? I don't know. So like the way I look at stocks, and I have just started to buy, and I bought a little bit of RCL, Royal Caribbean. The way I look at things is I like to be greedy when others are fearful, and vice versa. And I used to work for this brilliant man named Carson Levitt, and I worked for him at 2 great hedge funds, Citadel and Pequot. And he's the reason I'm on the West Coast here. And what Carson taught me was, and he kept things really simplistic, which is why he was so successful. He was the number 1 money manager for George Soros. In 1999, he made $1 billion in one stock in the month of December, which was Qualcomm, ticker QCOM. And I remember I asked Carson, and I first met him in 2003 or 2004, I should say, when I started working at Citadel. I said, Carson, how did you know? And he said, well, I noticed more and more people in New York on Fifth Avenue, et cetera, walking around with cell phones. And so I asked myself, what's in them? And I think he oversimplified it to me. Because I'm not as smart as him, but and he's not intimidating, he's a good guy. But that's what he did. He kept it simplistic. And he's just very, very long-term focused. Now, what Carson also taught me is that if you look at a chart of a stock, okay, and let's say on the chart, here's the x-axis, which is time, and here's a price right here. If the stock looks like this and the stock is here, you got to ask yourself this: are things better now than when the stock was down here? And of course, there's a couple things you have to keep in mind in terms of earnings growth and all that stuff, but it's a simple evaluation. It's a simple question. Ask yourself, are things better or worse? And if it hasn't, if you pick a low point in the stock chart from a while back, were things worse then than they are now or not? And that might influence you to consider buying or not. And that's a backdoor way of doing a model review. Are your estimates or expected estimates above or below street expectations, that sort of thing. And conversely, when a stock was very, very high and it's pulled back a lot, you got to ask yourself, were things better for the company when it was at that high or not? And of course, you got to do much more due diligence. And I have a lot of, I don't want to pitch my stuff here that I sell, but I kind of go through that. You got to, of course, do a lot of financial due diligence as well. And I teach that in a bunch of stuff I do online, whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up is, and John, I know I have a lot of friends, very good friends that work at Wells Fargo, and they're incredibly ethical and great friends of mine. I think it's a wonderful bank. I really do. And it's unfortunate that there was a scandal. I guess if there's 100,000 employees or whatever it is, I think it's less than that. There's going to be a couple of bad apples. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like the Houston Astros. Sorry I had to go there. I love baseball. Okay, next one is Vishal saying, and John, I know you're a Yankees fan, right? You live in Rochester. Vishal is saying, would you provide me some ways to earn some bucks? I'm broke. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Vishal. So I think the best thing you can do is think about a side hustle, meaning a side job, where you don't produce a product, meaning you create something that's virtual, and then you distribute it on the internet for free. That way you don't have, or not for free, you charge people eventually. That way you don't have inventory concerns. I'm usually very much against people starting companies where you make a product, unless it's just-in-time inventory management, or Edward Deming's inventory management system, which means you sell the product first, and then you make it. And whenever you buy a book on Amazon, and this is, I have a lot of students that have written books using my book template, which is free, whatever, it's prophetic because Phil Germany, he wrote a book called Super Students, and this is the first student of mine that wrote a book and using my template, and he wrote about chess. But the reason I bring it up is because if you look here, and let me just go to overhead camera. If you look here, whenever you buy something on a paperback on Amazon, it hasn't been printed yet. It gets printed the next day. And so this one here was printed because I live in the great state of California. This was printed in San Bernardino on August 30th, 2019. I bought it probably the day before that. If you live in Europe, it's most likely printed in Poland, because it's closer to that distribution facility. But what Amazon does, and Amazon doesn't just allow you to do this, and it costs you nothing, by the way, to write a book. But Amazon also has this with Amazon Apparel. And I have a wonderful student in my MBA degree program named Rose. And she does this, and she's an expert in this area. And what you can do is you can actually make clothes, sell them on Amazon, then they get made by Amazon or some affiliated party with Amazon, then you get paid. And it costs you nothing or very little up front. So I would say whatever side hustle official you think of doing, make sure you don't have to worry about inventory or producing a product. And if you do, make sure that it's made to order, meaning you sell it first and then you collect the money first and then you make the product. But I really believe, Vishal, that everybody has something to teach. Everybody does. And I think it's the best side hustle ever invented. And all you need is a cell phone and internet speed, a decent internet speed, which you have because you're watching this. And you can teach from home. It's actually easy to do. A lot of people do it. And I think that a lot of parents want their children to be doctors or lawyers or engineers. Don't be a lawyer unless you're a civil rights lawyer. Otherwise, forget it. But the problem with being a doctor, engineer, and lawyer, and only do it, by the way, if you love that sort of thing. But the problem with that is that, especially if you're a doctor or lawyer, you can only treat one customer at a time or have one customer at a time. If you're a teacher, you can record it, put it online, and teach billions of people online at the same time, technically speaking. And it can be recorded. And so I'm humbled to say I have students in every country in the world. It's the best business model out there, and it solves every problem in the world. That's right. When one teaches, two learn also. But I really do believe that education, along with technology and acceptance, so that's technology, acceptance, education, TEAT, which is my TEDx talk. You can watch online if you want to. I believe that T fixes every problem in the world. I don't believe in sending troops overseas to fight wars we can't win or understand. I believe that society changes from within. I believe that you have a lot of incredible people like Malala that will or have risen up to teach and change society internally where they live using YouTube or other platforms online. Who are we to tell other countries how to run their countries? When I say we, I'm talking about me, Canadian, American, whatever, everything, global citizen. I think if you use education, it solves every single problems. Malala, and I'm sure you're all familiar with her. She was shot for standing up to the Taliban for women's rights, equal rights to education. God bless her. And she was shot October 12th or October 2012, I think it was. Yeah. So she said, with guns, you can fight a terrorist. With books, you can eliminate all terrorism. So I really, really believe it. And anybody can teach. Anybody can do it. Like there's this guy named Ninja, who my kids love, and he makes a fortune every year teaching people how to play video games online. And he used to be affiliated. He used to make millions off of Amazon's video game platform or video platform called Twitch. And recently he signed this massive contract with Microsoft to be exclusive with them. But I bring up Ninja because he started out on Udemy, teaching people, how to use Twitch. And there's so many wonderful inspirational stories of people that improve their lives by teaching online. My favorite story is this woman, Teresa Greenway. And I interviewed Teresa years ago for my Inc. magazine column. And you can Google it. It's online somewhere. Or you can Bing it if you work at Microsoft. Sorry, I had to go there. But Teresa, God bless her. She was in an abusive marriage. She was in an abusive marriage. And she was married to this jerk. And she had many children. She has many children. And what she did was she found the courage to stand up to that jerk, her husband, and leave him. And she left him. And she was living off of food stamps. And she brought a couple of her younger children with her. And she thought to herself, what can I do to, keep the lights on and be able to provide food for my children? And she thought, well, what am I most passionate about in life? And for her, it's baking bread. How prophetic. And so what she did was she's made a ton of courses on how to bake sourdough bread, other kinds of bread, and she's done extraordinarily well, just doing what she's passionate about. And we all have something to teach. We all do. Everybody does. I don't think you need a million graduate degrees or any education at all to teach a skill that others can benefit from. I got to show you, Teresa. Give me 1 second. We got to go there. This is just so inspiring. All right. So let's go over here to, let's go here. Don't look at that. Teresa Greenway. Okay. Here it is here. Yeah. She teaches how to bake bread. It's amazing. It's amazing. So she teaches, oh my gosh, driving me nuts, that thing, sorry. She teaches how to bake sourdough bread, fun sourdough bread, just every type of bread you can. I'm getting hungry now, man. Screw the no carbs policy. This looks great. Yeah, so she teaches all this stuff. And she's passionate about it. And that's why she's very, very successful. And we all have something we can teach. And if you're passionate about something, you will be successful at it. But you got to make sure you tell yourself, I don't give a damn if I fail a couple times, and I don't give a damn what people think of me. I'm going to march to the beat of my own drum and do what I want to do and be what I want to be. And I'll never be anybody else's prisoner. That's what you got to tell yourself. You just got to say, I don't care. And the most successful entrepreneurs do that. They don't give a damn what anybody thinks of them. It's liberating. Try it with me. I don't care. I don't care what people think of my hair. It's all gray, by the way, but I've been dyeing it since my 20s. I went gray in my 20s, but it looks so obvious. It's reddish sometimes, like this cup a bit. I don't care. It's just me. I want to be me. So, yeah, I think everybody's got something to teach. And I have to quote Woody Allen. This is awful, but I'm going there. Woody Allen said, those who can't do, like me, those who can't do, teach. And those who can't teach gym class. And I suck at sports too, so you're all out of luck. Okay. I'm just kidding. If I can't laugh at myself, I take life too seriously. All right. Next up. Yeah, so Vishal, that's what I would do. I would find a side hustle online. And you can also go to Fiverr.com. That's 5 with 2 R's, Fiverr.com. And you could do coding online or make PowerPoint presentations online or create Photoshop documents online or use other fun software products. There's so much you can do. There's so much you can do there. Yeah, I've even gone there before to pay for people to do impressions of actors' voices. And I've used it in some of my videos to make fun of myself. Yeah. You can get anything done for $5 there too. And $5 is just the minimum. It starts at 5 and then goes up a lot. And then if you want to make more money, you can use a service like Upwork if you want. And you can always retrain yourself by taking online courses on how to code. Just do a search for Angela Yu and then Udemy. She teaches great courses on how to code. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have any sort of background. And Angela, actually, I met her once in Berlin recently at a Udemy event. She's amazing. She was a doctor. And she was like, you know what? I'm just not passionate about being a doctor. And she's like, I just want to teach. And that's what she does. She's great at it. So check out her courses if you want. Yeah. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, just found a recipe on how to make your own hand sanitizer. Also, if you have cinnamon oil, this is a great germ killer. That's awesome. Melody, if you don't mind, can you share it with us? Like, just send a link to it down below. And if the link doesn't work, then send it to me over the other way you and I contact each other, I mean LinkedIn, and then let me know you sent it, and then I'll copy and paste it here. Because for some stupid reason, YouTube blocks links on these calls, unless you type in DOT for dot when you put .com in. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we got next here? John is saying, happy Thursday. I hope you and your family are staying safe. Thanks, brother. You too. And John, the first time John came on this call, he asked me, and he's from Rochester, he asked me, who's your favorite Canadian comedian? I said Jim Carrey, of course, Jim Carrey. And I was thinking about Jim Carrey the other day. Like he's changed a lot. But he's tried to do a lot of serious roles. And he did this movie called The Truman Show back in 1998, which has a wonderful soundtrack. There's one piano dissonant theme song from which I absolutely love for The Truman Show. But it was 1998 he made it, and he was in that movie. He took a pay cut to do it too. He just wanted to try something different. And it's about what social media might become. And Ed Harris plays this role brilliantly of this man called Christopher, who's kind of in charge of this fake social media environment, of which Truman, or who's Jim Carrey, plays the main part. But anyway, check it out if you can. It kind of shows you what might happen with distorted social media one day. It won't go that far, of course, but my God, it was so brilliant. It was so far ahead of its time, 1998, before Facebook or any of these other companies were created. Yeah, it's incredible. All right, next up is Kundan, who's saying, sir, call me Chris, please. I want to start a company like a marketplace, but I don't know coding. How can I trust the tech team that my idea won't get stolen? Please help. Thank you. Yeah. So what you can do, and I'm not a lawyer, thank God. Although I wouldn't mind being a civil rights lawyer. They're cool. But what you can do is you can actually get patents for code. You can, or for ways of doing things, I should say. You get copyright for code, and you get copyright for music, and you get copyright for what I do because I copyright my stuff. But if you want to get patents for your code or for the process of your code or copyrights, I would talk to a lawyer. And if you live in the United States, or if you want to patent your stuff or copyright your stuff in the United States, again, I'm not a lawyer. You can go to LegalZoom.com, and I use them all the time. I'm not affiliated with them, but I pay a lot of money to them because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than using other lawyers. Yeah, so I would check that out if possible. And sometimes you'll see it says patent pending or whatever. It's because the patent in the intellectual property, the copyright law offices, I'm butchering this, sorry, in the United States and globally, they're so backed up. And so what happens is Sometimes patent pending is good enough. And patent pending usually means you'll get the patent within a year or so. But talk to a lawyer about that first. That's what I recommend. Yeah. But a lot of people that invest in startups, they're not betting on a product. They're betting on the management team. Okay. And Kundan, if you want, you can actually learn coding. Like just go to a website like Udemy. And I never get comped for mentioning that place. Udemy is an algorithm, okay? It's like me saying I love Google, therefore I rank higher in Google search ranking. It doesn't work that way. But you can go to Udemy and check out a course from Angela Yu, or mini courses from her. And she teaches you how to code from scratch, and she makes it fun. Another dude named Rob Percival does the same thing. And those two people are British, which means they speak gooder than me. So they have to be right, yeah. I don't know why. I always have this hang up on British people that their accents are just so sophisticated that they're smarter than me. They speak gooder than me. Okay. And John is saying, we will see how prepared people are with their portfolios in the next few months. This will be a good time to be. Then you wrote, do you think this will be a good time to be a financial advisor? Yeah, I think it's always a good time to be a financial advisor. You know, it's sad to say, but from a secular growth perspective, we're going to see the biggest generational transfer of wealth in history over the next couple decades, just as the baby boomers move on. Sad to say, but it's true. And when you're a financial advisor or private wealth manager, PWM, they call it, at big firms like Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, or any firm really, it's a great gig because it's really the only job that you can get in finance where you can bring your customers with you. You know, there's usually no non-competes, usually. And so quite often you'll see a group of private wealth managers that represent a lot of wealthy people, and they work at Goldman, and they leave to go to another firm. You know, they do it a couple of years after that to make more money, rinse, lather, repeat. So it's always a great business model, always. And people don't realize that finance is about sales, right? It's the most important part of finance is sales, and investment banking too. If you want to be a partner at an investment banking firm or a partner at a law firm, God forbid, then that means you're a great salesperson. That's what a partner is, a glorified salesperson. And that's what a great entrepreneur is and a great CEO is. She or he can sell like crazy. That's how they got there. So just understand also that in finance, most finance jobs are sales oriented somehow. Most of them are, yeah. And there's politics in everything, and especially big financial services companies. There's a ton of politics. And I'm very proud and humbled I got to work at Goldman Sachs. They don't hire the smartest people. They hired me. They just don't hire that many jerks, which is cool. But I know I'm just one dumb comment away from destroying my life, but there's no filter. After I worked at Goldman Sachs, I now understand why so many successful politicians come out of that place. It's a great company. It is. Like the jerk factor is very low, which is why I think they're very successful. But for some reason, it breeds a lot of politicians or wannabe politicians. I don't know. I'm gonna shut the hell up now. Okay, you're most welcome, Melody. Jason, how are you? Jason is Australian, but he lives in Florida right now. And he started his own YouTube channel, which is great. And his YouTube channel, his wife is from Brazil. He teaches how to speak English to people in Brazil, which is cool. It's cool. He's got some good traction so far. So great to have you, Jason. So Jason is saying, I heard a podcast talking about the recent crypto OneCoin Ponzi scheme. It's hard to believe that in this day and age, people can be so deceived. Yeah, it really is frightening. It is frightening. And I teach a cryptocurrency course. I'm teaching more up-to-date stuff to my MBA students right now on it. But I have a course online, whatever. And you can go to YouTube actually and do a search on it because there's a big portion of it's free. And one of the reasons why I made it big portion of it free is because when I started making this course, I realized, and I was at like a 7 out of 10 when I first started making it. And by the time I was done making that cryptocurrency course, I was like a 3 out of 10. And I was disgusted with how many people scam others. And I think that eventually when that sector is regulated, and it will be, sectors always get regulated when people lose a lot of money. Just like the SEC was created in the 1930s to regulate the stock markets and to stop insider trading. But I think a lot of people are going to go to jail that pump and dump. It's just what happens. And a lot of people don't realize that you can go to jail for slightly misleading somebody, or massively misleading somebody, I should say, on purpose with an investment. And so, for those of you who have HBO, there's this great series that just wrapped up last Monday on McDonald's called McMillions. And it's a 6-part series that Mark Wahlberg was the executive producer. And it talks about how all the winners of McDonald's monopoly, like the $1 million winners or the $100,000 winners, whatever it was, over a period of 10 or 15 years, they were all related to each other or knew each other. It was a scandal, and some of them spent time in jail. So it's fraud. It's fraud. And yeah, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, I think that it's just a matter of time until a lot of people that defrauded others can and will go to jail. And a lot of people do this on YouTube as well. They'll pump and hype up a crypto that they own, and then you buy it. Then they'll say, no, everybody sell. And then you sell it, and then they buy it back. Rinse, lather, repeat. It's terrible. It's terrible. People do that. So I think a lot of cryptos will be very successful and great long-term investments. And yes, I do own a handful. But if you're going to do it, make sure it's a very tiny percentage of your net worth, and make sure you do the research as well. Do the research, yeah. But it is scary. Yeah, it's frightening. Even Steven Seagal was tied into this recently because he hyped up a cryptocurrency and did not disclose it to everybody else that he was hyping this up, and he got compensated. And because he didn't disclose it, that's fraud. And so he's paying like a 6-figure penalty. I don't know about jail time, but yeah. But a lot of people don't realize that you can spend more time in jail for insider trading than manslaughter in some places in the world. And you look at Martha Stewart, America's sweetheart. She served 2 years in jail for insider trading years ago. And I remember the facility was in New Jersey. I remember I drove by it once. It's a women's prison. But she, and this is out there, whatever. Apparently she wasn't very nice to the SEC people when they investigated her. And that may or may not have had something to do with that. I'll stop now. Okay. But that's well known. That's out there. Okay. Next up. Yeah. And crypto's ICOs or IPOs are kind of getting lumped into that. ICOs or initial coin offerings. The government is starting to think of that as being the same thing as an IPO, meaning if you have insider information on it, then you will be prosecuted potentially by the SEC. It's still early days. It's still a land grab. And like we know with the Wild Wild West, when something is new and there's high growth, there's a lot of lawlessness, so to speak. I know that firsthand because I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on my Xbox, which is America in 1899. It's made by the same company that makes Grand Theft Auto. And it's a masterpiece. It really is. It's amazing. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, with the cinnamon oil. Okay, great. Yeah, thanks. So Melody earlier brought up a way to create your own hand sanitizer. And I asked her to share and by the way, this is knockoff. I couldn't get Purell, so I bought this on eBay. You can search for Assured, ASSURED. I'll show you right now, actually. I bought it on eBay for, it was just under, it might have been around $10 or just under $10 a bottle, which is, it's insane. And damn anybody that tries to make a fortune by jacking up this stuff, like $50 a bottle on Amazon. They should get booted off Amazon. But let's go there together. Let me show you. Okay, so let's go to eBay. All right, and I'm going to go to my eBay. I have nothing to hide ever. So I'm going to show you the stuff that I bought. Let's see, bids, offers, purchase history. Here it is here. Yeah. I did not buy these, by the way. It said people who shop for that bought this. So I bought these here. So I bought several of these, and there's 4 in each one. So I bought several of these here. And it came out to about, I think it was $10 each or something. Yeah, maybe a little bit less. Yeah. So, oh, I forgot to show you the brand name. Sorry. So here it is here. It's the cheapest one I could find. It's right here. Yeah. So it's knockoff. So you can get multiple sizes. Hurry. There's 3 in 1, I think, right? So you get 3 in 1 for $18. Is that right? 3. Oh, it just got sold out. Okay, it got sold out. But yeah, but I'm sure you can search for this. The branding looks a little different from mine. It's the same company. The color's different, whatever, it doesn't matter. But you can search for knockoffs, like Assured is the name of this one here. Yeah. ASSURED. I always get confused, man, about 2 vowels on the side. There's supposed to be double consonants in the middle. Assured hand sanitizer. That's good enough. Let's see here. So this is knockoff. Okay. So this here is, and this is 8 ounces here, right? So the price has gone up. I paid just under $10 for them. It's a little crazy now. Here it is here. Oh, here we go. Okay, good. This, oh, it looks like a good deal, dude. 4 bottles for $5 each. It's still expensive, but let's see. Is it still there? Why did that disappear? I clicked on it. Oh, it looks like the page is missing. Damn. Yeah. But that's what I would do. Just do a search for Assured. Anyway, I'll let you guys look through this if you want to. And damn anybody that sells these things at a massive markup, like Purell. Yeah. All right. Let me go back here. All right. Oh, yeah. Sorry. So Melody, I asked Melody to share with us how to make this at home, this sort of thing, homemade. Melody's wonderful. She's always very generous and shares a lot of stuff. She's saying what you do is this. You take cinnamon oil and you make sure you have base oil. So don't just use straight cinnamon oil in your hands. Use it with coconut oil, olive oil, or almond oil if you have it at home. And Melody's a lot like me because she biohacks a lot and changes her diet and whatnot as well, just to kind of figure out if it makes us more productive and stuff. And she was experimenting with garlic as well, which I love. And yes, I eat more garlic whenever I feel like I'm about to get sick. I actually eat a couple garlic cloves, and yes, it works. But my new thing is I bought this Ninja Bullet product, and I bought a bunch of these. Okay, and all I do is on Sundays I'm changing things up a bit. I'll put 7 or 8 layers of greatest hits of stuff that's supposed to be antioxidants or cancer prevention, etc. So I put almonds in it. I raw almonds from Trader Joe's. By the way, in Trader Joe's, when I go shopping there now, all the fruits and vegetables I buy there are cheaper now. And I think it's because people are buying canned stuff instead. But I bought blueberries for next to nothing. So blueberries are in here as well. I put organic kale. And then in terms of my protein, I put fat-free organic Greek yogurt in here instead of whey protein. I'm mixing it up. And I put cinnamon in here. And I put some honey. Otherwise, it doesn't taste that great. I put acai, which is a great South American fruit that gives you energy that a lot of these extreme sports dudes use. And a bunch of other stuff as well. Fish oil. And yeah. And then what I do is I just kind of, in the morning, boom, I put it on here. And then I put water in the mornings. And then I just, yeah. So anyway, there's that. So. Okay, and Baha'i Gamer is saying, Chris, how are you doing this fine day? I'm great, thank you. I'm great. Very, very worried about the status of the world and praying a lot as well. So we're all in this together. Yeah. And Baha'i, if you just joined us, and great to have you as always. And for anybody on the call, if you rewind the call, I talk about something that Stanford University Hospital System has been telling people internally about how to try to prevent this awful virus from spreading, and how to nourish yourself with liquids, especially warmer liquids, to ensure that if you have it or might be getting it, whatever, this might prevent it from actually materializing or showing up. in your system. But what you can do is, again, rewind the video, watch it. Of course, I turned off monetization on this video, but you can also go to the description field of today's video because I pasted the contents of that internal email that went around Stanford's hospital system. And I have a buddy whose mom worked in the Stanford hospital system for 30 years. Yeah. I'm not a doctor, so that disclosure out there, not because I'm scared about being sued. I don't give a fuck about that. But I just want you all to do your own research. Thanks. And because I swore, that's working against me on YouTube now. I don't give a damn. Yeah. Okay. Good morning to you too, Benny. And Kunal is saying, if I think everyone should watch the recent Joe Rogan podcast with Michael Osterholm on coronavirus. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to copy that right now, and I'll find the link and I'll share it with everybody. And Joe Rogan actually is the guy who, he's the reason I have this microphone. He has the same one as well. One of my employees said, you got to get this great microphone that Joe Rogan has. And I was like, who the hell is Seth Rogen? Or why would I buy Seth Rogen's microphone? So let me just copy this here. Here it is here. Okay, great. So what I'll do is I'm going to copy this and I will paste this in. Hey, Teresa. I'll paste this in over here for y'all. There you go. And thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. All right, let me go back here. Great. All right. Turn the air conditioning off. All right. Let's see here. Next up is Kundan, who's saying, do you think putting $1 million in a fund that gives a 10% per year can make me retire while earning $100,000 per year? I just saw a YouTube video, just curious about it, if it's practical. Well, let's do the math ourselves, but please do your research first. And anytime you want to invest in an IPO or any stock or any investment ever, usually by law, companies are required to create documents like this. Investment bankers create these things along with lawyers. So when Morgan Stanley and these other investment banks took Facebook public, before they could sell it to us, the public, and to institutional money managers, they had to write this massive book here. And you can get these things, by the way, for any investment. It's called an investment offering or a prospectus. And what I want to do is I'll show you really, really quickly, okay? And I don't, if somebody promised you that they're going to make you 10% per year on YouTube, don't believe them because they'll probably get into hot water eventually, okay? Unless they have lots of disclosures. But these things here, there's just a ton of information in them. And you can go to sec.gov to download these. And you've got all the information about the management team, the company, the business model, the financials, trends in monetization for Facebook here, for this example, risks, yada, yada, yada. And this is from 2012. And even if you're not a finance person, what you can do, and this is just Goldman Sachs, when I used to work there in 99, they went public, of which I got only a handful of shares because I was a grunt. But you can actually get all this information as well if you go to sec.gov. So I don't want you to ever invest in anything without first reading the investor memorandum. Okay, so sec.gov, which is a governing body, part of the United States government, that basically says if you're going to go on stock markets, you have to release earnings and you have to also publish these things before you go public. So if we go here and search for FB, which is the ticker for Facebook, you can actually get this here, okay? And so it's called an S1. And the other letters you'll see down there, the 8K means a press release that has important stuff in it. And then a 10K is the annual report and the 10Q is the quarterly report. So let's go here and then let's hit enter. And let's go read the S1 for Facebook. And this here is the S1, meaning when they filed to go public. But what happens is, and this was February of 2012, and I'm probably covering it up with my image of myself there, sorry. But then A means amended. So this one here I have is actually from May 3rd, which means it's right here. This is the amended version, which means it's the same document, but just updated. So this document I showed you on Facebook, it's the same thing as here, see? You can read up on this here. So the reason I bring this up, the so what of this is, I've got Miles Davis in my head now. The so what of all this is that I want you to please read.
Here's what I found.
Whoa, it's kind of scary. Okay. This is happening far too often. I thought I turned her off, but SIRI tends to speak for no reason every now and then. Unless I said something that sounded like SIRI, which I don't think I did. But you can get access to offering memorandums for any investment. And if you don't get access to it, don't invest. Okay. So that's what I recommend when it comes to that person who's promising you or mentioning, 10% per year. But let me run through the numbers though. Okay. You said if I put $1 million in a fund that gives me 10% per year, can I make it? How much money will I make? Yeah, you'll make a ton. An absolute fortune, actually. And I'm going to run through the brilliance of compound interest right now with you in Excel. And in the 1600s, the first nations, the people that initially inhabited the United States, they sold the island of Manhattan to the Dutch for $24. And you might think, oh my gosh, they got ripped off. They didn't. Because if you put that $24 in the bank at a half decent interest rate, then hundreds of years later, that would be worth much more than every little inch of property, building, money, or any item on the island of Manhattan. All right, so let's go to Excel together, and this will be fun. Let's see how much the future value is going to be of $1 million. All right, so let me go open up Excel. Welcome to Excel hell. And what I'll do is I'll start with $1 million, and just for fun, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that you put $100 million or $1 million in the bank at 10% interest per year for 50 years, just for fun. Okay, let's go 1 million, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And because we're going to be dealing with a ton of zeros in a minute, what I'll do is I'll dollarize that. And I will put, and this is the present value. Okay, and this here is the interest rate. And this here is the number of years. And this here is going to be the future value. Okay, I'll teach you the detailed way, and then I'll teach you the simple way in a minute. Let me just make sure we're recording. Hold on. Good. Okay. So the interest rate you're saying is 10%. So that means 0.10. That's how you write it, right? If 100% is 1, interest is 0.1, or 10% is 0.1. The years, I'll change this later, but let's just say 50 years, okay? And we need to find the future value. So I'm going to teach you the formula to figure out what the future value is of $1 million. So I'm going to name these cells here, okay? And you can do this also if you want to. The way to do what I'm about to show you doing is you click up here on View and make sure that you could see the formula bar here, okay? Like that. So I'm going to name this stuff. This will be fun. Let's do this. So I will name this present value. It has to be a string of no spaces in between. I will call this interest rate. I will call this years. You can't call it time because that's already used for something else by Excel formulas. And then we'll calculate the future value. So the future value of money, meaning in the future, of $1 million is as follows. You take the present value, okay? And I'm doing it this way because it's more fun to be able to talk about it this way. Okay, you take the present value, okay, and there's a drop down there. Okay, it equals the present value times 1 plus the interest rate, okay, to the power of years or time, okay? All right. It's a lot. It's a hell of a lot, man. All right, so let's go up here. Hold on a second. And I got to get rid of the zeros so I can understand what the hell this means. Whoa. Okay. That's pretty damn good. You're never going to get 10% every year, though, I promise you. But if you take $1 million and you invest it, you take the present value, which is $1 million, times 1 plus the interest rate, which is 10%, to the power of years, then in 50 years, that money would be worth this. Cray cray. I know it's crazy. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. If you want to be more conservative and do 20 years and then do, 5%, still pretty damn good, right? Not amazing, but still pretty good. Yeah. So let's make it, I don't know, 8%, and let's do it for 30 years. It's not bad. It's pretty good. Yeah. So, yeah. And let's do $24, like the first inhabitants in Manhattan. And let's do 8%, I guess. And oh boy, here we go. This might break Excel. 400 years. Okay, that's a very big number. So the first inhabitants of America, they sold the island of Manhattan, which is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, for $24 to the Dutch. And the Dutch, when they settled New York, Manhattan, they settled in the very south of Manhattan. And they had a wall, which is why they call it Wall Street. So if they sold it for $24 to the Dutch, and the Dutch, and the first inhabitants of America invested that $24 in the bank at 8% for 400 years, 16, 17, 18, 19, something like that, 400 years, they'd have more than $24. They would have this much. So let me calculate what this is. All right, that's 394 million. That's 970 billion. That's 561 trillion. Oh, that's amazing. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Yeah. So, yes, the power of compound interest is a wonderful thing. And if you guys are curious about this in more details, what you can do is go to my YouTube page, my YouTube channel, and do a search for the word savings, I think. Because I provide a spreadsheet for you on how to save a fortune. Hold on a second. Damn, I vlog a lot. All right, maybe it's not that. I think it's do a search on the number 31. I wrote how to save $31 million by doing 5 small little changes. I'll get there in a second. It's important though, because I really want to share this with you. So hold on a second. This was when I did. Remember this? McLovin. That's when I had my McLovin ID. That was webcast number 5. Oh, how we've changed. And these are 2 of my awesome students in my MBA program, actually. I met them in Berlin when I did Office Hours at a Udemy event. That's Robin, and then we got Vital. Great guys. Great guys. Yeah. I'm like that squirrel from the movie Up, or that dog where you go, squirrel. But there's something here I really want to show you. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry this is taking a while. But it's how to save $31 million. And I've got to find a better way to index these things. That was our first or second webcast when I was a lot younger. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. So how to save, maybe it's million? Hold on 1 second. It's in here somewhere, but I promise you it's worth the wait. And what I'm going to show you will save you a fortune. Okay. Oh my God, it's killing me, guys. It's how to save $31 million. It's in here somewhere, maybe 31 comma. This is where people start clicking thumbs down. Yeah. There's Dylan. He was on one of my calls. This is every broadcaster's biggest nightmare. Biggest nightmare. So it's in here somewhere, I promise you. It's how to save $31 million by making 5 small changes to your spending portfolio. Look how juvenile I am. Look at that. Idiotic. I promise you it's in here. I published it in November. That's when I went to the Tony Robbins event. I published this in November of 2018. So save. All right. This will be worth the wait, I promise you. Look at this. The Idiot's Guide to Interest Rates. That's me, by the way. All right. Hold on a second. It's coming. Here it is. Oh my God. I made an idiot of myself. I don't care. All right. Here it is here. How to increase your net worth by $31 million by making 5 simple spending habit changes. So what I'll do, and it looks like that because I'm trying to conserve bandwidth with everything, but it's actually good quality if you do it normal. But this one here, I actually teach you little things like if you and your spouse make your own coffee every day instead of buying it from $4 or Starbucks, whatever you call it, that will save you millions in your life, I promise you. So anyway, there's the, hopefully it was worth the wait. I don't know. We'll see. I get it. We're good. All right, let's go back here. All right. Next up is Dr. Brett. Hey, Dr. Brett, how are you? Hi, Chris. My name is Dr. Brett. I'm a medical doctor working in China. Oh, thank you. I've been on an anti-epidemic team since January combating COVID-19. Hope I can share some of the methods I use with you. Oh my God, yeah. Dr. Brett, can I bring you on this call over Zoom right now? Do you have a camera? We can do a live Zoom right now. Let me know. If not, please send us something helpful with, I'm sure you've learned a heck of a lot of great stuff on this. Thank you. And God bless you for offering this. And yeah, thank you. Yeah. And so what I'll do is, every now and then I'm going to go down to the bottom here to see if Dr. Brett wrote anything here. And then I'll pull him on the call if he wants to. We can do audio call as well if you want to, or we can do video call, or you can just send your tips and whatnot. That would be helpful. And God bless you for that. Thank you. And then Jason, yeah, I saw the Tom Hanks news. Sad, man. So Jason wrote here. Tom Hanks was treated in Queensland, Australia. No issues with speedy access to coronavirus testing. I'm proud of Australia's dual public-private health system. Yes, amen to that. Amen. Crazy. It's he and his wife Rita, and he sent that tweet last night. That's right, I saw that. And then Trump did that late live briefing. He looked really tired. I'm sure he's going through a lot now. Hopefully, it's a partisan effort. All right, next up, Jason is saying, I saw charts publishing graphs of various countries' infection rates. Where social distancing is being practiced, the curve flattens. Where they don't, it climbs rapidly. Yeah. No, it's frightening. Yeah. China went on immediate lockdown. Of course, the United States took very serious measures last night on that with Europe. And of course, Italy is isolating millions of people to try to, God willing, make this better. Yeah. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to scroll down because we have a doctor from China that's been working on the virus since January who might join us. Let's see here. Okay. And I asked him if he wants to join. I'll come back to it. I'll check again later. Yeah. It's crazy. Like you got to keep massive distance. Like couple of meters, they say even. And the problem is like at the gym, and I still go there, but I'm really thinking about not going anymore because even though I'm really careful and I bring my knockoff Purell with me, and 24 Hour Fitness has done a great job with, I think they have, with trying to wash down all the machines. Although when I went into 24 Hour Fitness, you have to check in, and 24 Hour Fitness is the cheapest gym you can join. They're all over the US. And I love it because if I'm out of town, I can always go, whatever. But the problem is this, though. When you go in, you have to put your finger down to check in. And it scans your finger, obviously. And then you have to enter in your check-in code, your phone number, whatever. So what I do now is I actually show my ID. And they just, yeah. And then you might think to yourself, well, why do you go to the gym at all, Chris? I bring my Purell and anyway, maybe I shouldn't go. We'll see. And I asked my son last night, I said, have you noticed an increase in people coughing at school recently? And he said, yes. And then I asked, but the problem was I asked him a leading question. Like I used to work for a lawyer when I worked in the hedge fund industry years ago. Wasn't fun, but I did. And he taught me how to interview people and not ask leading questions. So when witnesses are being interviewed, whatever, you don't ask questions like, tell me how good this coffee is, because that's going to lead them to say it's great coffee. And so the problem I did with my son last night was I said something like, have you noticed a massive increase of people coughing? I should have said to him, have you noticed a change in the amount of coughing in school? If so, is it going up or down or staying the same? Whatever. So we asked him a different way, and his answer was a little bit different. But I think it's only a matter of time till school's canceled, like public school. Private school in the areas, my kids go to public school, great public schools. The private schools in the area, a lot of them have canceled school. Big companies are making you work from home. My wife works part-time at IBM. and so she gets to work from home, although it took them way too long to announce you can work from home. I don't know why. Google was one of the pioneers and early on, just like Udemy, and I put them in the same class. And Apple, they let you work from home. So anyway, a lot of companies are doing it. But schools, for some reason, they don't, like, they're really careful in the schools. Like, I get a ton of emails here in Hillsborough where I live from the superintendent and the principal of the school and how they're being careful, and that's great and all. But there seems to be a disconnect. And I am thinking about pulling my kids out of school, starting tomorrow. Just thinking about it right now. I know that kids they can get it still, but they're healthier than older people like me if we get it. But there's a disconnect why schools are still in session. Stanford canceled schools, and so did SF State here. So if anybody is on this call and they pull their kids out of school, let me know. I'm just curious about it. And I contacted my brother, who's a doctor in Canada, and I said, Jamie, let me know if you pull your kids out of school. So anyway, thinking about it. And then Jason, who's one of my MBA students, he's awesome. He's Australian. He lives in Florida. He was probably one of the first people, along with Andrew, one of my other great students, to kind of impress upon me the seriousness of this issue. So Jason, let me know what you're thinking of doing, what you're doing. If you want, you don't have to, obviously. But I know you mentioned that you went out and you bought stuff early on. You're the first person I heard. Smart. Thank you to do that. All right. All right. And what I'm going to do is let me scroll down to see if the doctor, our doctor from China, who's been working on the corona cure, has responded. He hasn't yet. Yeah. Okay. And Jose, who's he's originally from Venezuela, I think, right? And he lives in Brooklyn, and he's got a kick-ass payments company. Jose is saying, good morning, Chris. And he used to work in the energy sector too, offshore drilling. And Jose, thank goodness you don't work in that sector. I mean, given the price of oil is crashing, it makes a lot of offshore drilling not feasible anymore. I feel bad for people that work in the energy sector. It's tough. Jose is saying, good morning, Chris. Good morning to you too. Hi, everybody. Today is a great day, so let's make our dreams a reality. Yeah, I love the attitude, dude. I love it. It's infectious. Thank you. Thank you. Love it. Love it. And then Melody said, I thought about doing the course in Spanish and Hindi too. Oh, wow. You speak Spanish and Hindi as well. That's awesome. Be careful with Hindi. Here's why. Okay. It's a wonderful language. But I want to show you what happened to me and my failure with doing a course in Hindi. And 7 or 8% of my students on Udemy are from India. And 25% of everybody on the webcast, usually in India too. I track it. So I'm going to show you what happened. So let's go here. I found out, like, here it is here. Okay, good. So I did a course in Hindi. This is, ignore that because there's hardly anybody that took it. And I spent a bunch of money to get it translated and nobody wanted to take it. And the reason is because my students in India, they prefer to take the English version of my course for some reason. It's interesting. And I butchered this big time, dude. So this is just the thank you message when you sign up. I've got 30 students and yeah, and I spent over $1,000 getting this translated, but it was a disaster. But what happened was this, and I've got to fault myself. And my Indian students were so nice to me with what I'm about to tell you. So when I had somebody do this, and then I rendered a lot of the graphics, what I did was this, and I'll show you. I made it myself. It was awful. So if you watch the promotional trailer, you'll see here. Okay, good. So you see the letters here, how this looks proper. They're all, yeah, it looks, this is yeah. So what I did was I thought there was a mistake because they were all touching each other, all the T's here. And so I separated all the letters a little bit and I rendered I'm such an idiot. And then what happened was, what happened was I got really nice messages from students saying, sir, dear, call me Chris, please. There's a lot of mistakes with the Hindi version. So we correct it, which is fine. But for some reason, it didn't, yeah, it's done terrible. People want to buy the English version. which is over here. I'll show you. Where's the English version? Portuguese. I have a Mandarin version too. One of my TAs years ago helped with that. This is the one here. This has been the life-changing one. This one here, we're almost at 250,000 students, which is great. But most people want to take the English version of that. Okay, enough of that stuff. Let's go back here to Wirecast. All right, go full screen. I've got a couple different camera angles today that I'm experimenting with. Here's one of them, and I have pedals that I hooked up as like a keyboard as well. So I'm trying something different. So yeah. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, weird question. There are no weird questions. But are you having trouble finding toilet tissue? Yes, actually, because they're made in China. That's why. We bought it in bulk from Costco recently, so we're all set. But you wrote, I have family in Long Beach. And for those not familiar with Long Beach, it's in Southern California with the biggest docks in America. And people track import-export trends when we're in recessions by looking at the traffic volume of container ships coming in and out of Long Beach. A lot of investors do that. Because there's a lot more trucks coming in and out, then it means that demand is picking up. And the whole world looks at the American consumer closely when it comes to business and growth. And the reason is because about 30% of the world's revenue, meaning 30% of the world's GDP, is the United States. And about close to 70% of the US economy is consumer spending. It's not big business, or it's consumer spending. And so that's why people track Long Beach very, very closely. But you wrote here, I have family in Long Beach, and they told me they were having a tough time finding this. Yeah. Again, because it's because it's made in China. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up is Juan David. Juan David is our awesome student. He's 16. He lives in Chicago. He wrote an amazing book. He's done 2 TEDx talks. His second language is English. He was born in Venezuela, had a very, very tough upbringing, and he documented what happened to his family in this book. Very, very optimistic guy. It's called Generation Optimism. I'm very humbled to say, and I'll show you guys this because I've got an overhead camera now. I'm very humbled to say that he asked me to write on the back of this. And so I did. And I've got this little thing here that's going to, give me 1 second. I'm going to try to zoom in and show you guys this. Let me show you the front first. And I'm going to try to zoom in. There we go. Oh my God, it's working. There we go. God, week 81, you think it would work by now. It does. Great. Okay. So this is Juan David's book. It's called Generation Optimism, Creating the Next Generation of Doers and Dreamers. It's a great book. And the Chicago Tribune actually commented on the back here. Let me go even closer. I'm going to push this to the limits, see if we can get this working here. All right. Any closer? I might not zoom in. Yeah. And it says Juan David at the top there. Easily could be described as a Renaissance man. And then I wrote here, a must read for anyone who believes that there are limits on what we can achieve in life. It's a great read. I fully recommend it. And I'm going to make an idiot of myself right now. Because of Corona, okay, I bought this. Okay, and it makes your nails taste awful if you bite them. And I've been biting my nails forever, as you can see. And my kids do as well because I'm an idiot father and they copy me, I guess. I had to bring that to your attention while we were looking at my nails, right? So I bought this stuff. It's called Pro Bell. I feel like I'm on the Truman Show. This is called Pro Bell, and it makes your nails taste awful. And I put it on my kids' hands as well this morning. So anyway, a little bit too much information. TMI, as they say, right? But Juan David, always great to have you, dude. Always great to have you. You inspire me, brother. All right. So Juan David is saying, good morning, Chris. I hope you and your family are well. I hope all of you stay healthy too. Thank you. God bless you. Same to you, buddy. Same to you. And let me know when you do your 3rd TED Talk. Again, he's 16. He's done 2 already. It's unbelievable. Amazing. Just amazing. Incredible. And Juan, you'll never have problems getting into a great school or getting a great job. Seriously, all you got to do is just bring this with you. It's amazing. It shows you have a positive attitude too, because it says generation optimism. It's impressive that you've written a book at your age. And I think it'll impress the hell of anybody you give this to. And there was a woman on my team, actually, when I worked at Goldman Sachs. Her name is Lei Chen. And I encouraged her to leave and go to and apply to business school. I helped her with it. And she went to Harvard Business School. And I told her to write a book, or actually I told her to include her book. She'd already written a book. And she included it with her application. She got in. I miss you, Lei Chen. Yeah, she lives in Hong Kong now. Hope she's doing well. All right. Jason is saying, given the 14-day lag in coronavirus symptoms showing, we are therefore only seeing today the effectiveness of the last 2 weeks control methods. Freaking scary, man. I know. Really, really frightening. Really frightening. Jeez. And then Benny is saying, when everybody expected the market to fall during this pandemic, why would firms still borrow stock for people to short it? Many thanks. Yeah. So what happened is a great question, Benny. Thanks. So when you buy a stock, we all know it's called a long, right? You buy a stock, it's called a long. So the opposite of a long is a short, meaning the opposite of buying a stock is betting against it. And so the way that shorting a stock works is as follows. Let's say that I'm a hedge fund. And for those of you not familiar with hedge funds, think of your backyard. You have a hedge around your backyard, and that hedge kind of protects your backyard. And so a hedge fund's purpose is to protect capital, meaning if the market goes down, you don't lose as much money, or you might make money actually, if the investments are set up a certain way, as follows. So the way you short a stock is this is how it works on Wall Street. You have your trader call a big investment banking's trading floor, like a Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, etc. And you tell them, hey, I want to short Tesla. Can you lend me shares of Tesla, ticker TSLA? And the trader at Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley, etc., will look around to find out if they have other big clients like mutual fund companies like Fidelity, for example. And they'll call those clients and say, hey, I noticed here in the filings that you own a lot of Tesla. I have a client that wants to borrow your shares. Can I lend them to her? I'll give you a fee of, say, 5% per year just to lend them. Costs you nothing, but you make 5%. Do you want to lend those? Okay, thank you. Then Goldman Sachs calls up the hedge fund that wants to short Tesla and says, I found somebody that is happy to lend their shares to you, and the fee is going to be 7%. Do you still want to do it? Okay, I'll set this up. Thanks. Trader at Goldman or whatever firm. Hi, mutual fund. Okay, we're going to borrow them. I'll pay you 5% fee annualized. Okay, thank you. Hello, hedge fund. I have the shares for you. Okay, they're now yours. Okay, you borrowed them. And you pay 7% on that on an annualized basis. Okay. Now the hedge fund takes those shares of Tesla, and let's just say for fun, they're $10 a share. And this hedge fund basically takes those shares, sells them in the open market at $10. And then if Tesla goes down to $5, then this hedge fund buys back those shares at $5 and makes a $5 profit, and then returns those shares to whoever she or he borrowed it from, minus the 7% fee. That's how it works. So the question was, when everybody expected the market to fall during this pandemic, why would firms still borrow stocks for people to short it? And so in this case, in this hypothetical example, it's because Fidelity, hypothetically speaking, they wanted to continue to own Tesla and not sell it. So the way they can make money by owning Tesla, another way, is to charge somebody a fee to borrow them. That's why. Now, if Fidelity freaked out and wanted to sell Tesla shares, legally they can get it back immediately. And what would happen is they would say, hey, I want my shares back now. And what would happen is the hedge fund would have to return them immediately. And when that happens, it's very dangerous for investors, because if people panic short cover, what happens is the stock goes up a lot when they're covering the short. Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully that explains it. If it doesn't, please let me know. And Himanshu, hello to you too. That's the most adorable little image there that you've got. Let me make sure everyone else sees it. Cute. Excellent. Great to have you. Great to have you. And I always smile when I see you because I was a mentor for this guy named Himanshu, who's from India but lived in Russia. But he was at Accenture in Toronto, and I mentored him. Great guy. I'm also smiling because Gregory, I see your name, and I smile because whenever I watch that show, Succession, which you guys should all watch, the best business show on television, there's this British character who does an American accent actually in the show named Gregory as well. He's very funny. And you wrote, already started. Zut alors. I'm with you. Snoop 101. That is awesome. That's the name of this person. Welcome to the call. First time I've seen you. I hope you come back. And my wife only bought one tape in her life. She never bought a CD or a record. She bought one tape. And it was in the early 1990s. And it was a Snoop Dogg tape. Right? So, it's funny. So Snoop 101 is writing... now I'm thinking of old school, man. That scene with Snoop Dogg and Will Ferrell. And Will Ferrell says, we're going streaking. Snoop, come on, bring your green hat. So Snoop is saying, I've been working on building my own B2B, meaning business to business service company. The issue is that I can't find any other company doing it. Is that a good or bad sign? Well, you got to ask yourself, in 5 years, will this business be more relevant or less relevant than it is today? And if there's no competition, that's a good thing. But you got to be careful always that you're not too early. Timing has a lot to do with success. And so I met with this guy named Andy Bechtolsheim. He's a friend. And I actually had him keynote a bunch of my venture capital conferences. And Andy, by the way, was the very first investor in Google. And Andy was also the very first employee at Sun Microsystems. He started 1 million companies and he's never failed. And I remember I actually got to spend an hour and a half just with him, talking to him in 2017 at Menlo Park, at the Menlo Circus Club, which was a holiday party in December for Kleiner Perkins. And he introduced me to John Doerr there. I remember that. Yeah, John Doerr's rock star. But Andy, I asked him, I said, Andy, why are you successful? Tell me. And it's in my books that I write. I usually write about successful people and lessons I've learned from them, not myself. And Andy told me that success has a lot to do with timing. He says and the reason he's never failed is because he timed the market. A couple of years before, an investment trend or technology trend is going to be relevant. That's when he starts his companies. But if it's way too early, he doesn't do it, right? So, for example, I'm going to make this up. Say you wanted to get into the market to make, I don't know, jetpacks for everybody to go to Mars. It's way too early for that. Way too early for that, obviously. That would be a cool product though, right? But there's so many examples of companies being too early. Like there's Apple with the Newton in the early 90s. It was way too early. And the Newton, for those who aren't familiar with it, it was a handheld device, a PDA. And a couple of years later, the Palm operating system was relevant. And then US Robotics bought Palm, which was bought by 3Com, anyway, I'll leave it at that. Apple was too early. And also, YouTube was too early. Like Yahoo was too early, actually. Yahoo bought broadcast.com for a couple $2 billion from Mark Cuban in the late 90s. And that was too early. That could have been YouTube. It wasn't. Also, Yahoo is way too early when they bought a social media company called GeoCities in the late 90s. That could have been Facebook. It wasn't. They were way too early. So timing has a lot to do with success in business. But I would just ask yourself, is the company you're creating now going to be more relevant, and the industry is going to be much more relevant in 5 years or not? And if your answer is absolutely yes, then proceed with the business plan. Make sure you write a business plan too. And I've got a business plan course for you too, if you care. A lot of companies fail because they don't write a business plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you write a business plan ahead of time. It might convince you not to do the business at all. I've written a gazillion business plans where I stop after 10 pages or so. I stop because I realize it's an awful business. The same thing with my one-page stock write-ups. I make a ton of them, and most I never finish. All right. Let's see what's next here. And Gregory is saying, I hope you and your family are away from COVID-19. Thank you. Yes. And thank goodness we're all healthy. We're all healthy. But I have, there's one person that was on this call. He's one of my students. He's a doctor in China, and he's been working on a cure for the disease in China since January. And I asked him if he wants to join us to come on live to do a Zoom call or an audio call. And I'm just looking to see if he's responded, and he hasn't yet. That's okay. All right. Next up, we've got Snoop. Snoop is saying, one more for you, Chris. Vlog, blog, or a podcast? Yeah. So the best way to know what social media outlet or distribution channel or product or service you should use is to go to a brilliant man named Gary Vaynerchuk's website. And nobody has ever talked about what I'm going to show you now, but this is something I've kind of come up with. So Gary V, for those of you not familiar, and my dad always told me, Chris, don't take advice from people that aren't successful. But Gary V is very successful and more successful than me. So if you go here, just do a search for Gary V, and Gary Vaynerchuk comes up here. And he's this dude from the East Coast of the United States, a little abrasive, but he grows on you. But he's the king of social media. So what I want you to do is go to his website, and I want you to scroll down here, and I want you to go through all 86 pages of insanity. It's not boring. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's just 86 slides. Okay. And then I want you to go to his homepage. Okay. Here, and go to the bottom, and whatever order he has his social media icons in is how seriously you should take each social media outlet. He changes this all the time, I've noticed. And again, nobody says what I'm showing you now, but just look at the order here. Right? He got rid of method a while ago. No one really cares about that anymore. So he just added this here. Okay, texting. I don't know. He's got Instagram is the most important one, I would say, from a social media perspective for him. Then YouTube, then Facebook, which I don't trust. Then Twitter, Snapchat, which I've tried, but I'm too old. I'm surprised he doesn't have TikTok here yet. Yeah. LinkedIn, and then podcast. And then, he does have TikTok. Here it is. Okay, he just added TikTok. So and for those of you who don't use TikTok, check it out. Oh, Blue Jays. Oh, dude, I like that. That's,
I know you've been seeing me talk about sports cards. My little hot take right now, it's a flip thing. Baseball, Soto, Vlad Jr., Tatis, Bellinger, Mookie Betts.
Sorry, I thought that was Encarnacion. That's Vlad Jr. I'm a big Blue Jays fan, and I collect baseball cards too. So anyway, that's what I recommend doing. Go to his website to find out which ones are most relevant. And I will also give you my advice, but again, stick with his first because he's more qualified than I am. But I would say vlog, blog, or podcast. I would say vlog first because a blog is text-based. And the future is visual, which is why Pinterest has done well. That's why Instagram was purchased by Facebook. I think audio is important. Podcast is important. And what I'm doing actually is I've just hired a company to actually take this weekly call of mine and turn it into a podcast. Because what you want to do is with social media, you always want to repurpose content. That's what Gary Vee talks about. So you want to take little snippets of what you've already done and put them over different social media platforms. And I just hired another firm that's going to do Instagrams for me starting next week, little short Instagram videos. But always think about repurposing of content. And the best media companies do this, like Nintendo. I love Nintendo, always have. Nintendo, what they do is they've been repurposing their old game content for ages, decades. So the Super Mario 8-bit and 16-bit games and 64-bit games have been repurposed over and over and over again on newer consoles and platforms they have. So think about social media the same way, repurposing. But I say vlogs is the most important one because YouTube is the second biggest search engine in the world. And I think it's only a matter of time until it becomes the biggest search engine in the world. And I think antitrust will break up Google and YouTube one day. Just like I think the antitrust, the DOJ, will break up Amazon into AWS and the rest of Amazon one day as well. But YouTube is a force to be reckoned with. There's really no alternatives. The only videos that people watch are, aside from YouTube, the younger generation are, I guess, TikTok lately. A little bit of Instagram every now and then, a little bit. And then, Twitch if they're gaming, right? So YouTube is a gold mine. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And it's the only gold rush in history where you have access to 7 billion customers immediately. So I think we're going to look back years from now and say, I wish I had created a lot more videos because this was the golden age of content. And I do it because I love doing it. But the way I look at all my vlogs, and I vlog every day, and I'm on day 580 or 590 now. I'm doing it every day for 10 years. Actually, forever. But the way I look at my vlogs is I think of each one of my little vlogs as being a coffee shop, like at Tim Hortons, which is the best coffee shop on earth in Canada. I look at it like it's a little coffee shop, each one of my videos. And each one of those little coffee shops are franchises of me, whatever. And they're all going to make money. They're making money now. I don't make a fortune off advertising. I make some. But anyway, and I'm not that guy trying to say, oh, I want to get to a gazillion subscribers. I want manageable growth. I don't want to spread myself too thin, but anyway, it's been fun. So I would do vlog first. Then I would do podcasts second, because voice is the future operating system that really matters most. And the future is kind of now, I guess. You shouldn't have to see, feel, or touch your operating system. It should be virtual. Right, so I really do believe in voice. What would be great is if you can do both and repurpose the content, all three actually at the same time. So maybe you write a blog, then you read the script, make sure it doesn't look like you're reading when you do a video. Then you record the script using GarageBand or some audio service and make it a podcast as well. Repurpose the content. The bottom line is go to Gary V's website, scroll to the bottom, see what order he has all those social media icons in. And that might be a good indication on how you should prioritize as well. Yeah. I learned about stocks, by the way, and investing by collecting baseball cards when I was a kid and comics. So that's why I got excited about seeing Vladimir Guerrero, a Blue Jay player where I'm from, on Gary V's website. All right, let's see here. And Gregory's saying, Chris, are the hours of the call 1 hour ahead? No, maybe it's because maybe you live somewhere where you didn't change the time. We moved our clocks forward this week, and not all my students do that. Like I don't think Japan does that. For example, I know you're not in Japan, but we have Yoshida-san and a couple other great students in my MBA program that are from Japan. Yeah. So the call is 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. always. Yeah. And then at 11:15, I start a call exclusively for my MBA degree students. And then I do one-on-one with my MBA students as well. And then Greg is writing, no blink in the eyes this week. That's right, dude. Yeah, last week it was disastrous. Thank you for that. For some reason, if you go to week number 80, my eyes, they were blinking there was a special white light in them. And I thought it was because I put green here, and I have green eyes, right? So green screen sucks if you have green eyes, by the way. It's awful. Yeah. And in fact, people that have green eyes, a lot of times they'll actually put on contacts in movies when they're doing green screen stuff. But I called Wirecast. I've got, I pay for a higher tier of support from them because I use this a lot. I think I might pass 1,000 hours in live calls. By the end of this year, because I'm doing with the MBA students, I'm doing like 500 hours this week, or this year, But anyway, I called them and they didn't. It was one of those stupid things where I restart the computer and it works now. But yeah, it doesn't matter how good my computer is. I'll show you, dude. So I've got an insane amount of RAM. I really push my computer to the hilt. I'm a nerd, but I got to show you. So if you look at my RAM here, I've got 1.5 terabytes of RAM in my computer. And I still run into issues sometimes. And then also, yeah, I've got 28 core Intel. Yeah. Anyway, I've gone all out. And what I also did was, because the problem with this new Mac is, I mean, it only ships with 4 terabytes max of storage. Now it's 8. They increased to 8, which is moronic. But I've had some growing pains here. And what I've done is, it's a high class problem to have. I bought this product called a jellyfish. Okay. And so for those of you who are techie, well, I don't know, you'll like this. I know Jason from Australia, if you're on the call, I think you're on the call. You're definitely on the call. You'll like this. I use a product from a great company called Jellyfish. And it's right here. It's like 140 or 240 terabytes. And so all my MBA classes, I back up here as well. And I've got a backup server as well. So right now we're on class number, I guess close to class number 30 out of 100. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been fun. All right. Yeah. Oh, thank you for the Woody Allen quote. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with Woody Allen. I don't know. All I know is that Woody Allen's son, who I think is really Frank Sinatra's son, just quit the media company he was working at because Woody did some book or something. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, Chris, did you make your own intro or outros for your videos? I'm trying to do this for myself now. I got like 100 things going on, but surprisingly, I'm not stressed about it at all. Yeah, sometimes when I have a lot of stress in my life, when you put on more stress, I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. So let me show you the intro and outro I used to have. I stopped doing this though because I wanted to get to the point faster in my videos. So let's go here and let me go full screen here on this, and I'll make the quality better. Hold on a second. And then what I'll do is I'm going to go here and I'll show you what my intro and outro used to look like. All right. So let's go here. Let me go to one of my older ones. This one, I think this is it. Yeah. Okay, hold on. This is my best vlog ever. I'm really proud of this one, actually. I'm a humble guy, but this one I have to brag about, and I'll send you guys the link in a second. Yeah, and all I see is the one person that doesn't like it. But here's what my intro and outro used to look like. Here we go. And I'll get the speaker system over here as well. You already have everything that you need to build something bigger than yourself. That's a great quote from Seth Godin. All right, and here's the end. I think I had an outro as well for this. Is in your heart and at home, regardless of which hats you wear along your uphill journey. Thank you very much. I'll see you mañana. Please click like if you want to, and please subscribe. Thanks. I used to do that. I got rid of it. I got rid of it because I don't know. I felt that people wanted me to get to the point faster. You know, I could be wrong. I don't know for sure. But anyway, yeah. But I am recording for my MBA degree program. I just hired again Adad, who's this brilliant guy, and I used to go to Prague. I went there a couple times to make all of my trailers for my courses. But I just hired him to make the best trailer we've ever done, or he's ever done, I hope, for my MBA degree program. And the theme is going to be business class, like business class on an airplane. And I'm going to be the pilot. And he's done a lot of sci-fi movies too. He's really good at this stuff. So I'm going to be the pilot on an airplane. And there are going to be people in regular class. And I'm going to upgrade them to business class. And that's how I'm going to start to sell the MBA degree. I can't wait to show you guys. It's great. He's just going through scripting it right now. I've outsourced it to him because he's better than I am at that stuff, obviously. But once it's up and running, I'll let you know. And if anybody's interested in the MBA degree program, by the way, you can always go to my my website here at Haroun, or Haroun, I think it's pronounced, Education Ventures. And then what you can do is you go to, here, apply to our next MBA degree program. It starts October 14th or December 14th of this year. And I love my students. Yeah. So anyway, and you can go to FAQ and just find out more stuff on it here. And it's a rolling admission basis, meaning the earlier you apply, the higher chance you have of getting in, that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up here, we've got Gregory who's saying, Chris, the USA are becoming an island regarding Europe. What are your opinions on that? Yeah. So I think everybody's looking at what Italy has done closely, and how they're trying to isolate themselves in certain regions to stop the spread. And I think that probably had some sort of big influence on what the Trump administration is thinking of doing or has done. I saw the same live press briefing that you did last night. So, yeah. So God willing, this doesn't get worse. Yeah. Oh my God, my mommy is here. Mama, I love you. My mom wrote, hello, Chich. It's Katie and Dada too. My little sister, Katie. You'll always be my little sister. Okay. Mom, Dad, can you pull Katie's hair? Because I'm not there to do it. Thank you. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. That's my mommy. And this is my dad. And some of my MBA degree students call me Chich as well. I let it slip by accident in one of the calls, and they call me Chich or Chichi. Great to have you. Dad and Mom, you're like Mom and Dad to me. Dad, you're like a father to me. Okay. And Mom as well. I love you. Love you. And I did a webcast from my parents' house. And what I did was they weren't in town. They were away. But I used their place in Toronto. And I got to show you guys what I did. And hi, I'm 7.5. But I got to show you guys what I did when I stayed at my parents' house. And a lot of you remember this is like week number 60 or something like that. But let's go here to YouTube. I have to show you now because this is funny, I think. I always pull pranks on my family. I'll never, ever grow up, but I want to show you what I did to my parents' house. Let's go back here. I got to go here to play all, I guess. And I'll take you to one of the older webcasts. It'll show up here, and it's in red because it's Canadian. I remember that. Give me 1 second. And I want to show you the prank. Here it is here. Yeah. So this is Canada. Yeah. And give me a second, make sure this works. Good. So what I did was and that's Banff. Banff, it's pronounced Banff. Okay? Beautiful country. That's Canada. This is the most Canadian B-roll you'll ever see. That's Terry Fox. You guys got to do research on him. He's the biggest Canadian hero ever. Amazing guy. My kid's doing a paper on him in school now. I'm staying at my parents' place in Canada, and I put those in all the plugs. My dad's going to kill me. I'm a bit of a prankster. Dad, I'll move all this furniture back, I promise. Let me show you guys what else I did here. It's kind of funny. So on almost every single plug in the house, I put those right there. And on everything, my mom and dad, they're in Florida now. That was my dad there. Hey, Dad. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'll take that off. I love you. I love you, Dad. But they're in Florida now. So what I did was they're letting me stay here in their apartment. We're here for Christine's dad's 80th birthday. And I put these oh my God. That's Dylan. They're going to kill me. Yeah, so that's my family. There's my little sister. Hi, Katie. Mustache, but that's me when I was younger. What else can I show you? Oh, yeah, over here. This is good. My dad's Egyptian, so I put that there as well. King Tutankhamun had a mustache, I think, eh? And then one up there. I'll probably take that one down. My mom's gonna kill me, right? She'll think that's a bug or something. But dude, I put them everywhere. I gotta show you a couple more here. Hi, I'm 5. I put them everywhere. Right there. And then over here, oh my God, my dad's gonna kill me. But screw it. It's fun, right? So I'll show you a couple more. You probably all think I'm crazy. That's okay. I think I'm crazy too, but you know, it's fun. Why not? I put them there. I put my bulletproof coffee over here, there. Dude, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. I even put them, let me see here. I put them even on these little, my mom has these little statues down here. They're gonna freak out when they get home. Right, I put one there as well, and anyway, pretty sophomoric, I know, but funny, why not? All right, don't ever grow up, people. Always stay the same. I stopped maturing at 7 or 8 or something, but anyway, that's me. That's me. Let me just change the quality. Hold on 1 second down here, so that it doesn't mess up the bandwidth. Okay, good. I just monitor things here, by the way. Okay, good. All right, let's go back here to Chich, Big Chitchy. Yeah, miss you, Mom and Dad and Katie. Hope you guys are well and staying safe. Okay. And Katie, say hi to Gushy for me too. Thanks. All right. Okay. Let me go back up here to see what the next question is. So Gregory is saying, I told my daughters the Michael Jordan's quote, you always use and illustrate a failure. It's so true. It's right up there. I love it. And I got that done on Etsy.com. And the quote is from Michael Jordan. I failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. I love it. And Michael Jordan did not make his high school basketball team either. So think about that. And he makes way more money right now every year than he did in his entire career playing basketball because of Nike. Yeah, it's amazing. Great businessman too. All right. Okay, cool. Thanks. So Melody sent over the hand sanitizer recipe on LinkedIn. So let me take you guys with me. Let's go get that together. So we'll go here to LinkedIn, and I'll paste it for everybody to see. Okay. So messages, and then Melody right here. There it is. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I will copy this link and I'll paste it in here so everybody can get access to it. Thanks so much for sharing, Melody. All right, let me make sure it went through. Give me a second. Yes, it did. Great. All right. Give me a second to get back into full screen chitch mode. Okay. All right. Himanshu is saying, thanks for, this is for everyone here. Buy pure ISO, propyl alcohol ISO from a pharmacy or chemical vendor. Take 70 milliliters of ISO, meaning 99%, and add it to 30 milliliters of water. Mix it well. You just made hand sanitizer. Thank you for that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show everybody that in case you guys want to take a screen print. Okay, so hold on 1 second. Or take a picture with your cell phone right here from Himanshu. Thank you for sharing. So right here, so I'll give you 5 more seconds to take a screenshot of that if you want to. And while you do that, I'm going to read the next question. Thank you. Gregory is, and if you just joined the webcast, if you go back to the beginning of the webcast, I read this message I got from a buddy of mine whose mom worked at Stanford University Hospital for 30 years on what to do about preventiveness and all that stuff for Corona. And you can also read the text of what I read in the description field in today's YouTube. Yeah. All right. Next up here is Gregory is saying, hold on, you go back to full screen here. Okay. So Gregory is saying English people have queen and king. That's why they speak better English than us. It's true. Earlier on, I was saying, dude, that everybody with British accent, they just speak gooder than us. It's just the way it is. I don't know why. I went to a British boarding school. Maybe that's why. I just think they do speak gooder than us. It's true, no matter what. No matter what. A British person can say something really dumb, but sound brilliant because the way they say it is awesome. Yeah. All right. Next up, Himanshu is saying, this kind of hand sanitizer is being used by every microbiology and molecular biology testing lab daily throughout the world. Okay, great. And I want people to take that a bit more seriously. So what I'll do is let me go back here and share that all with you again. Thank you for sharing that, Himanshu. And for those of you just joining us, we also have a doctor on this webcast here who's in China, and he's been working in China since January. On finding a cure And I've asked him to come on this call and do a Zoom, a video or audio call. He may or may not. I hope he does, but if he doesn't, I understand. And I read between the lines too. Thank you. Okay, great. So this here is from Himanshu. So if you guys want to copy that, go ahead, please. And Himanshu is saying that the hand sanitizer here is used by every microbiology and molecular biology testing lab daily. So let me just take a screen print of that myself. Hold on. Okay, great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. All right. Next up. Gregory is saying, hold on. I'm not reading in order. Sorry, guys. Jose is saying, hi, Chris. How can I protect my online courses to be copied or pirated? Yeah. And Jose is in the process. He lives in Brooklyn, works in the payments industry. He's one of my great MBA students. He's working on making an oil services-based course. He used to work in the big mining rigs, but he's since stopped. And thank goodness you stopped, given the price of oil, buddy. So he's asking, how do I protect my courses? So what I do is go to LegalZoom.com. Okay, and I hire them to create copyright and trademark on my courses. So copyright means protecting code or music or video. Okay, that's what copyright does. Now, trademark means you protect the brand name. And so I've had that done on LegalZoom.com, and I've started doing it myself too, some of it. So it'll cost you a couple $100. It's the cheapest way to do it. Don't hire other lawyers because they gouge you. Screw you, lawyers, unless you're civil rights lawyers, then I love you. But if you go here to LegalZoom, right here, what you can do is you can actually get them to do it here for you. And you can schedule a call with an attorney for like $30, which is pretty damn cheap. And I do a bunch of that too. So I go here to, copyright, trademark and stuff. And somebody tried to sue me. When you do well, whatever, people come after you. If they don't, you're doing something wrong. And so I told them, I'm going to out-litigate you. I don't give a damn, right? And I gave them the impression I was going to go through this forever and actually use these guys. And they dropped the lawsuit, if they're watching. Yeah. It's what happens. If you don't get sued yet, it's because you're not successful enough yet. But go here, and you can do registration and trademark here. Okay, and they'll help you out with it. And eventually you learn how to do it, and you can do it yourself. Okay, for like $35 yourself. It'll cost you a couple $100 the first time you do it. But all you do is you basically take your course, and I patent in mind like their streaming services. But you take all your course videos and you put it in the lowest resolution format possible, like 144, not 4K. And you put it on a little thumb drive. Then you mail it into the U.S. government, the Copyright Office. Yeah. But they'll help you out with that too. My stomach is grumbling, so I'm going to have some of my Super Shake, which I got from I bought this new Ninja Bullet thing, which is awesome. Oh, it's good. And good for you too. All right. All right, next up we've got, let's see. Himanshu is saying, my pleasure. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Gregory is saying, Chris, after your last call, I was browsing to build a mining computer. Awesome. Yeah. So I mine my own cryptocurrencies. It's happening right here in real time. And this here is just a little cheap OEM screen that's connected directly to my miner. Okay. It's just a PC screen, but I'm mining right here. That's a graphics card. And, if you want to decide whether or not you should mine, let me tell you in 30 seconds. The most important thing is to search online to see if it's legal in your country, because mining cryptocurrencies is illegal in many countries now. Okay. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to find out what the cost of electricity is where you live. In kilowatt hour, cost, electricity, country. And I'll show you. And usually if it's under 10 cents, it's worthwhile to do it for you. So here's electricity prices around the world. Okay. So what this kilowatt hour means is basically, let me get a prop here. So this here is a bulb that some people use to grow herbs and stuff. I don't do that stuff. I don't think it should be legal, by the way, unless for medicinal purposes. But the cost per kilowatt hour basically means how much does it cost you to have this 1 kilowatt light bulb on per hour. So if we look here, we see in Egypt, for example, it costs you only 3 pennies to have this on for 1 hour. Now, this is 1 kilowatt. Now, you're all used to those other light bulbs that are 100 watt bulbs. So they're 100 watt bulbs, which means 10 of those 100 watt bulbs is 1 kilowatt. Okay. So that means if I had 10 light bulbs on that were 100 watts each for 1 hour, I would pay in Egypt 3 pennies. Or if I just had this on for an hour, this would cost me 3 pennies. So let's stick with kilowatt now. Okay. So if you look here, you can find your country. Just do Command F. I have a student that's in Trinidad right now. His name is actually Michael Jordan as well, oddly enough, like the poster on the wall. Different guy. But it costs him 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, the import taxes are crazy in Trinidad, like 100% import duty. But he's looking into this, and I'm going to help him as well. He's one of my MBA degree students. And just find your country. But if it's less than 10 cents then it might make sense to do it. Okay. And you have to also call your electricity company because sometimes different regions you pay more or less. Like Hawaii in America, Hawaii costs 30 cents per kilowatt hour, which is ridiculous. It'll never make sense to actually mine in Hawaii. Now let me show you what to do next. That's step 1. So step 2 is this. I want you to go to a website called coinwars.com, as you see here. Then you click here on mining calculators. And there's 2 types of ways to mine. One way is you buy a mining computer like this called an ASIC that does one thing and one thing well, which is mine one type of crypto, or you make your own. So let me show you, first of all, for Bitcoin, you can't mine by making your own computer because computers aren't strong enough to mine. So you have to buy an ASIC machine, one of these, which you have up here. So this dude here is, let's go with this one here. This dude here is $2,111. And I click this and a bunch of stuff is populated here, including the cost. Then you go down here and you enter in what is your electricity cost. So let's say that you're in Trinidad. So it's 5 kilowatts per hour. And whenever you mine online, you actually go into what's called part of a pool. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. And you pay a 1% fee to that pool because you have to mine together with other people. It's more cost effective. So let's calculate the mining profit we could make based on this machine that costs us over $2,000 if we're in Trinidad, where the cost of electricity is 5 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay. So this means that I can break even on that $2,000 machine, whatever, in just under 2 years. Okay. And I'll show you why. And I'll make $3.20 per day in profit. So $3.20 per day times 365 days means annual revenue of $2,471. Now you have to pay the 1% pool fee. That's 1% here. Okay. And your power cost is this. So your annual profit's going to be this much, which means that in less than 2 years, you'll break even on that $2,100 investment. Now, let's say that your cost of electricity is higher. Okay, let's say it's 10 cents. Let's see if it makes sense for you to do this. This is just Bitcoin. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, you're going to lose 31 pennies per day or $111 per year. It doesn't make sense. So let's see if the cost is 9 cents, if you can make money. Yes, you make 40 cents per day, which means $114 per year, which sucks because it'll take you 5,336 days to break even. Okay, so the rule of thumb usually is you will make money if the cost of electricity is less than 10 cents per hour. Call your electricity company and find out. My mom actually, my mom's on the call. Love you, mama. My mom used to make us turn the lights out. Now I get it, to save money. Except when I was watching TV, Mom. For some reason, you always turn the lights on. I don't know why. And my mom actually, and Christina, myself, we run the dryer and the washing machine and the dishwasher after 9 p.m. usually, because what happens is governments try to incentivize you to use electricity later at night. Otherwise, if everybody uses electricity at the same time, it causes a blackout. Yeah. All right. So that's how you do it for Bitcoin. Bitcoin, you got to buy a machine like this to do it. Okay. And it's got to be less than 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Now, what about if you want to mine something else. Like I'm mining down here something called Ethereum. Okay. And Ethereum, I do it here and I entered in the cost of my hardware and all the other stuff here. And I do make money doing it. But you have to find out what the hashing rate is of your computer. I'm not going to go there unless you want me to. Okay. But I mine it. And so when I mine Ethereum, what I do is I do it as part of a pool. And I'm going to show you all live. And I'll share a link with you so you can track how this miner is doing in real time for fun. So I go to a website called Nanopool. And on Nanopool, I can mine these cryptocurrencies. So let's go here to Ethereum. And the way you get started is it's actually pretty simple. Just go to Help menu, step-by-step guide, download software, configure, and install. It's that simple, okay? And let me show you my Nanopool account. So here it is right here. So I'm mining right now. The machine it went offline this morning. What was this? Yeah, at 5 a.m. this morning, I got a little email alert saying it went offline. It does it sometimes. It's fine. But right now it's mining, and I've made a whole $2.82. Is that right? I thought I made more than that. Let me go here. Yeah, $2.82. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. The price of Ethereum must have dropped a bunch. That's fine. But what I'll do is let me paste this so that you guys can access this if you're interested, whatever. There you go. You can track my computer in real time. And it's called the Haroun Ventures Miner. And everybody can see it because, it's part of the blockchain. And I talk a lot about blockchain in my MBA degree program and courses and stuff. And this is how I explain it and all that stuff. And this, by the way, this here is the Genesis block, which is the first block ever to be made. And it was actually made, let me show you actually, this might be fun. All right, here we go. So the very first block was made in January of 2009, the first Bitcoin, by this dude named Satoshi. Apparently, we don't know for sure. And what Satoshi did was he actually sent an article of a newspaper from England about the banks being bailed out. And that article in the newspaper looked like this here. I visualize it. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see that. See? Okay. And that's why I put it here on the block. And this is the first block, which is why it's called the Genesis block. Okay. And Satoshi, the first message, he wrote it to his friend Hal. And I think that's a joke, actually. I don't think Hal exists. Why? Because in 2001, A Space Odyssey, that great movie by Stanley Kubrick made in 1969, there was a really evil computer named Hal. And the reason he was named Hal is because if you look at the alphabet and you add one letter to H, that's I, one letter to A, that's B, and one letter to L, that's M, IBM, IBM. So anyway, this is the blockchain here, and each block is linked back to the previous block using an address. And I visualized this using this character Link. I thought, by the way, this guy was Zelda, but Zelda's a princess. This is Link. And so he links back there directly. Yeah. So anyway, check out my course if you have more questions on that. Or I'm happy to go through this right now if you want. This is your time. I have to hang this up. Please? Good. All right. Stay. All right, good. All right. And if you have follow-up questions on cryptos and stuff, let me know. Don't do drugs. Stay in school, kids. All right. All right. Next up, we've got Melody who's saying that brand is from Dollar Tree. Okay. Oh, this thing here that I get. Yeah, this is the cheapest Purell knockoff I can find out there. Yeah. So you believe... I cannot believe how much people are charging for hand sanitizer. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's nuts. Nuts. Scary. And Melody is saying it's either Dollar Tree or from Walmart. But either way, I am still in shock at how much. Yeah. Me too. And Tien's on the call saying, Chris, let's say I have a chance to be with a top executive, a CEO or a chief technology officer or human resources manager for 1 hour. And I seem to get stuck on choosing the topic to talk about with them. What would you advise? Yeah. So the best way to prepare for meetings is to go to somebody's Twitter profile and see who they follow, because they follow people that are of interest to them. and they usually like talking about that sort of thing. And you want to be delicate in how you bring it up. So, for example, if you went to my Twitter profile, you'll see that I follow Jesse Barfield, who and he followed me back, actually. He's a Blue Jay player, a former baseball player from Toronto. And so if you looked at my profile, if we sat down, you might want to casually bring up baseball somehow. And don't mention that you looked at my Twitter profiles, who I was following, because it sounds like this if you do. I was stalking you earlier, and I realized that you like baseball. Is that true? Yeah. So that's what you can do. You can go to somebody's Twitter profile and see who they follow. You can learn a lot about them. So if you go to Bill Gates' Twitter profile, for example, he follows about 200 people, and 200 entities, people, etc. And the only non-Microsoft and the only non-charity entity he follows that's a company is Udemy, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah. So that's what I would do. That's how you learn about somebody. Go to their profile. And when you show up to a meeting, never talk. Like, a big rookie mistake in business is you show up and you start talking about business right away. Business is about relationships, and relationships are more important than product knowledge. So what I advise doing is you just kind of talk about, relevant stuff. So today, obviously, you'd be talking about that awful Corona thing. Talk about the weather. If the Oscars were on last night, if they were, talk about, did you see the Oscars? Read the newspaper that day too before your meeting. And make sure that you set up a Google Alerts so you're immediately emailed if anything comes up on the company you're meeting with. So do your research there. And what you can actually do is I've got a free book for you that you can download on networking. And you just go to my website, just Haroun Ventures. Scroll down, and then here you can get this book for free of mine. It's networking to get customers a job or anything you want. And the earlier you recognize in life and in business that what you know means jack squat compared to who you know or whom you know, the more successful you'll be. Like the problem is with a lot of people is, you'll when you're younger, you go to school and you get good grades, and your parents are proud of you and stuff, and life works out well. And you think to yourself, okay, what did I do in school? I kept my head down, I worked hard, and I was recognized. And then you start working for somebody else. And when you're working for somebody else, you keep your head down, you work hard, and then years go by and you're wondering, why did I not get promoted? Why did I not get a raise? What is happening? Why are other less competent people than me getting raises and promoted? And you realize that a lot of it comes down to relationships in business and finding mentors, like find your Yoda, so to speak. One more thing, though. You have to remember you'll never get anything in life unless you ask. You want to get a job? You want to get a raise? You got to ask. You want to get promoted? You got to ask. Nobody's made to CEO without asking over and over and over again to get promoted. That's right. You got to be relentless, like a pit bull on a pork chop. It's like my kids, like Dylan, my youngest one. He's relentless, man. He keeps asking over and over and over again for everything. And I respect him for it a little bit. No, I do. But he'll say, something like, can I have some candy? And I'll say, not now. Like 3 seconds later, he'll say, how about now? Like just relentless. And then you get older and you stop asking. You got to be a pain in the neck, delicately. You just got to be relentless and realize you'll never get anything in life unless you ask. And, your homework today is go to YouTube and do a search for 3 words. Steve Jobs ask. And you'll find that Steve Jobs, the only reason he was successful, or one of the many reasons I should say, is because when he was 12, he reached out and cold called Bill Hewlett from Hewlett Packard. And he asked Bill Hewlett if he had spare parts because Steve Jobs was trying to build something. And Bill Hewlett laughed and gave him a job. And then years later, this other kid called up Steve Jobs and did something similar. And Steve Jobs helped that guy out. And that guy's name is Mark Benioff, who's a wonderful humanitarian. I've met him a bunch of times. He's also the CEO and founder of the biggest employer in San Francisco called Salesforce.com. Yeah. So you got to be relentless and ask, and ask often. And just don't give a damn what people think of you, All right. Next up, I've got Melody who's saying the cinnamon oil will burn if you don't use a base oil, like adding 1 drop to like 6 to 8 drops of coconut oil. Just don't rub your eyes with this stuff. It's strong. No, I hear you. And thanks for sharing about that. And for those of you curious on what Melody is talking about, do a search on cinnamon here in the text field, and you'll find she provided us with a recipe for making antibacteria products at home. Yeah. All right. Let me put on the air conditioning because I have way too many lights on. The good thing, this new Apple computer is great, but it becomes really quiet. But one of the issues is it gives off just a ton of heat. Yeah. And so is this cryptocurrency machine here that I'm running. All right. And Jose from Brooklyn is saying, Chris, I really need a biohack guide. Please share it with us. Thanks. No, my pleasure. I wrote a book on this too. And I have a course on, actually, you're one of my MBA students, so don't worry about it. We're going to cover it in class soon. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And then Snoop is saying, hi, chat. Does anyone have a YouTube channel or a Udemy person that can teach you to be a public speaker? I watch Gary Vee, and he's so natural. I get up with a microphone and I can talk, but not naturally at all. Yeah, I've got one for you. It has to be a shameless plug. I'm sorry, I have to do it because I'm proud of it, and I worked hard on it. I'll show you. So go to just go to Udemy, and I'll paste the link for you as well. Okay. And then if you go to public speaking, you'll see it, the public speaking course that I made, and I'll send you a link right now. Actually, here it is. Here, yeah. So and I'm very humble to say I'm outselling now that the president of TED, he has a course as well on the same topic. So let me copy the link. Actually, go to my website instead because I've got a coupon there for you. Yeah, all my courses are $10. Or you can get 9 of my courses for $50 here. But yeah, anyway, so I'll paste this link here, and if you scroll down, you'll find it's down here. So and let me paste this in. Hold on a second. And I want to show you guys actually. So my son Dylan and I we made a promotional trailer for it. So actually I want to show that to you. This will be fun. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to get rid of my face, and I'll show you this trailer we had a blast with it. And while you're watching this trailer, I'm on the beach in front of the Golden Gate Bridge. You'll notice I'm walking sideways a bit. And if you look closely, there's naked people in the background far away because it was naked day on the beach there. And I kept cracking up, and I had to block them out. San Francisco's a crazy place, dude. Let's see if you can spot that. All right, give me 1 second. I'll play this here for you in full screen. Hold on 1 second. And then we'll go here. And we will make this 720 is good enough, whatever. One speech can change your life. You will learn to love public speaking. One speech. Oh, hey there. One speech can change your life. You can. Oh, hey, I'll be with you in a second, okay? You will learn to love public speaking. Oh, hey, actually, I'm practicing for my speech. Can I rehearse it with you, and you can maybe let me know what you think? Okay, thanks. One speech can change your life and touch the hearts of so many people around you, whether you realize it or not. And this assumes you have no public speaking experience at all. No problem. I used to be terrified of public speaking, much more than you. I'd rather have been here than up there. For example, when I was in business school at Columbia University, as well as during the training program at Goldman Sachs, I asked more questions than my peers did because I was terrified of being put on the spot. But now I feel alive while giving speeches. You know, people might forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. This course is not based on theory. It's based on real practical experience. I've given a TEDx talk, numerous keynote presentations, and graduation speeches in front of hundreds of people. I've given numerous business presentations, and I've been interviewed by many media publications. You will learn to love public speaking on the spot with no preparation. So that one incredible speech can be the bridge between where you are now and where you want to be. It's almost impossible to achieve all of your goals in life without learning how to master public speaking. Anyone that's had a significant influence on the world, from Dr. Martin Luther King to Malala, Bill Gates, or Steve Jobs, all had one thing in common. They've all had the ability to communicate with large groups of people. In this course, I will include 25 different templates for every type of speech occasion, from a personal speech at a wedding to a business presentation using Skype. This course will teach you everything there is to know about public speaking. One speech can change your life and the lives of so many people around you. Life all comes down to a few short moments. So how was that?
Guess it was okay, Dad. Can we go home now?
Sure thing, bud. All right, let's go. So I've got to take him home, but I'll see you in class. Thanks. So how was everything? Had a good day? Yeah. We had a lot of fun doing that. He was so good that day. He did everything in one take. It took me like a gazillion takes. Yeah. All right. And next up is, hold on a second, let me scroll down here. If I skipped anyone's question, let me know. Kundan is saying, sir, call me Chris, please. As you said, I can learn coding. So according to you, what else tech skills I need to start a company besides coding? Like, is there any skills related to technology field for starting a startup? Yeah, I would also recommend taking my, just a good introduction to business is my Udemy course called An Entire MBA in One Course, which has sold almost 250,000 copies. And it's in 10 different languages too, just on Udemy. If you want, you can check that out. Yeah. I think that would help out. Thank you. And you can join us also if you want to in my MBA degree program. I've got 158 students now. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. And so 2 people asked for money back. There were 160, now it's 158. And the next cohort starts December of this year. If you're watching the replay, that means December 14th of 2020. Yeah. All right. Let's see, next up here, Vipul is saying, good morning, Chris. Hope all's well. Likewise, thank you. And then Gregory is saying, the doctor is from South Africa, living in China. I Google him. Seems to work for a benefit of Chinese people. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that. We have a doctor on the call here from that working in China. Has been there since January, working on a cure for COVID. And one of my other students Googled him, and he's from South Africa originally, and he's helping out a lot. Thank you. And then Melody's making a couple courses, and she mentioned she's making them in Hindi and Spanish. And I asked her, "Do you speak Hindi?" And she wrote, "I don't speak Hindi, but I thought about having the course translated into Hindi. I could help others." Yeah. And then you wrote, "I speak Spanglish." That was an old Adam Sandler movie too, I think. Spanglish? I think so. I don't remember. Yeah. I have enough problems with English, please. And then Gregory, I already read that one. Himanshu is saying, yes, Chris, 125 million Indian people use English in 2012 survey. Now, we have 3 languages. We have Hindi, a local language, and English. However, English is like a second language in India. Thank you for sharing that. And Himanshu mentioned that because earlier on I mentioned that I have a Hindi version of my flagship course, an entire MBA in one course, and nobody's buying it. And I find that in India, people want to buy my English version of that course. Yeah, thank you for that. Appreciate that. All right. Yeah, and I think it's like 7 or 8% of my students, my paying students, are from India. And I think it's like 37% now from the U.S. And so U.S. keeps getting smaller, and I've got students, I'm humbled to say, in every country. And you all inspire me so much. And Omar is saying, hi, Chris, hope all is well, likewise. Do you think this is the beginning of a new recession? Yeah, I mean, I do. So technically, the definition of a recession is, so a company's revenue or a country's revenue is called GDP, gross domestic product. And so if a company's revenue or if GDP of a country goes down year over year in 2 consecutive quarters, then that's technically referred to as a recession. And I think that, yes, business is going to slow down for this quarter and next quarter. So yeah, I think we're entering a recession. And even if it weren't for the coronavirus, business is always cyclical. It's been a while since we've had a recession. So it was coming anyway. I just think it's going to be more egregious, so to speak, given the fact that the quick catalyst for this, unfortunately, is the coronavirus. I mean, you've got a gazillion conferences that have been canceled. People are working from home. Thank goodness we have the internet. But since a lot of people aren't going to work anymore, and a lot of conferences are canceled, and since a lot of big deals are usually closed by salespeople at big conferences, then of course it's going to have a drastic impact on business. And you know, we have very good friends of ours here in the Bay Area. They own a very, very successful restaurant chain, and they said that it's tragic because nobody's showing up anymore. It's tough. It's tough. The only place I've noticed that's busy, and this is weird, man, is the gym. Really busy. And it kind of scared me. You know, I go to my gym and I kind of wanted it to be not too busy, obviously, but it's packed. And I think it's because I go to the gym in the middle of the day and a lot of people are allowed to work from home now. So you read between the lines there. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think we're going into a recession. Now, people are probably thinking, well, what's a bear market? A bear market technically means when the stock market declines 20% relative to the recent peak. So the Dow Jones is down, which is the index in America, one of the indexes, is down over 20%. So technically, yes, we're in a bear market. Yeah. All right. And then next up, Umesh is saying Hindi would be great, but just literal translation is no good. You need a Hindi speaker. I did, yeah, and I actually hired one of my students. I used to teach during the evenings at one of the universities was the Halt International School of Business. And a couple of my vitamins just dropped out of my pocket there on the floor. And she translated it for me. So, yeah. Oh, well. I take a lot of risks and I fail a lot. But remember that quote up there from Michael Jordan. I mentioned Michael Jordan to my kids the other day, and they said, "You mean the actor?" They know who they both are, right? There's another Michael Jordan from that show, Friday Night Lights, which rocks. You guys got to watch the show. It's the best. It was fun. It's about football in Texas. Don't mess with Texas. And I really wish Texas could bring their tax code here to the Bay Area and their politics. Just their tax code, yeah. Okay, so John is saying, can you use a regression analysis to compare store sales of a small business to the market performance or really any other benchmark index? Yeah. You can use artificial intelligence-based algorithms and software to do that. And there's a great company that I used to be an investor in when I worked in venture capital called Quid, QUID is the name of the company. You can check out their software. Maybe there's a trial you can use as well. But a lot of consulting firms like McKinsey, BCG, Bain, etc., all use their product to look for regression analysis and trends in the data. You could do that. You could do that. Or what you can do is, if you want, you can call up a company and get access to a lot of data they have on restaurants. And use that data in Excel and just do a simplistic line graph dotted to see if there's actually a trend. And I've done this before. I did it with McDonald's. So McDonald's, ticker MCD, their headquarters are in Chicago. And in 2011, when I was a big investor in Chipotle, ticker CMG, which stands for Chipotle Mexican Grill, I was a big investor in Chipotle. And I called McDonald's because McDonald's used to own Chipotle. And I was doing research on Chipotle at the time, and I classified it then as a world beater. I don't own the stock anymore, but I owned a ton of it back then. And I looked at Chipotle, and I thought to myself, Chipotle is kind of like McDonald's was in the 60s or maybe 50s, I think. And the good thing about Chipotle, which is they make it's great Mexican food for those of you overseas that haven't heard of it, unlike Taco Hell or Taco Bell. But the thing about McDonald's is that McDonald's has always had to compete with a gazillion other hamburger places, whereas Chipotle doesn't have competition. And so what I did was I called McDonald's in 2011, and I asked them to email me, and anybody can call them. Anybody can call investor relations at any company. I asked them to email me the annual reports from McDonald's for every year in the 1950s and 60s, and they did it. And what I did was I ran a regression analysis, and I looked to see where Chipotle was relative to McDonald's in terms of number of sales or stores open and same store sales. And I decided at that point in 2011 that Chipotle was exactly where McDonald's was in 1967. And that's how I analyzed the data. Yeah. So anyway, that's one way to do it. But I've actually been an investor in Chipotle for many years before that. When I worked at a big hedge fund called Pequod, is one of our biggest positions back in 2006, 2007 as well. Yeah. All you got to do is ask these companies. Investor relations works. Their jobs exist to help you, and you don't have to be a professional investor. Anybody can call them. Anybody can. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Kashish saying, hi, Chris. Good morning. I hope you're doing good. Thank you. Great to have you. First time I've seen you on the call. I hope you join us again. Thank you. And then David is saying, maybe you could post your Tesla shorting example as an individual video. That was good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, maybe I'll do that then. Yeah, I will do that because my vlogs are all based on just because I don't have time to go outside and walk around anymore with the camera. My vlogs are all based on these weekly calls, as you might have noticed. And right now although we're in week 81 now, my vlogs this week are from like 6 weeks ago. So 6 weeks from now, I'll do that. We'll include that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Heathen Nations Music, welcome to the call. I haven't seen you in a little while, and every time I see you there, I think of HMV, which is the music store I used to shop at in Canada. It's a British music store, and HMV, which doesn't exist anymore because people buy music online, but HMV stands for His Majesty's Voice, which I think it was for some king in England or something. But Heathen's Nation Music, HNM, is saying much love and prayers for everybody and families on the call right now. God is with us through this trial. I completely agree with you, and God bless you, and thank you for saying that. Thank you. And I've got my mom in the back of my mind. I remember she gave this epic speech once at the Mississauga Golf Club in front of tons of people, and she ended her amazing speech with families that pray together, play together. And I love that. Yeah. I don't like playing golf with my parents, though. Just kidding. I do. Okay. And Gregory is saying, in Europe, we have Vimeo, like YouTube. Yeah. Vimeo, I find that there's a lot of professional video editors that I deal with that like to upload, like a dad who I work with, upload videos to Vimeo. They get more professional control and share the videos with me. But it hasn't really taken off as much as YouTube. I really wish it did, or I wish somebody else competes with YouTube. As much as I love using it, it scares me at just how dominant they are. You know, I think Google is a good company, though. In their 2004 IPO prospectus, which is the document you use before you go public, they mentioned that their mantra is "Don't be evil," which I believe. But still, I think if a company gets too much market dominance, the consumer gets hurt in the long run because competition is good for a consumer. So I hope somebody else emerges. Yeah. And next up, Kunan is saying, sir, I saw your video on REITs. REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trusts. It's a way of investing in real estate, but you just buy it looks like a stock ticker. And by law in many countries, REIT companies or real estate investment trust companies, they can only exist if they pay 90% of the profits out as dividends. And that's why REITs usually have very, very high dividends. However, if you're going to invest in a REIT, make sure you understand the risks, and if it's a fixed income instrument, make sure it's A-rated or above. And the way that bonds work is the best rating is AAA, then AA, then A, and anything below A is not good. They used to call them junk bonds. Now they call them high yield bonds. Just be careful. So you wrote, I just saw your video on REITs and just want to know how it will be in the Indian market, as REITs are a new thing in India, as per my awareness. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the tax code is similar there with respect to the 90% payout, but I'm sure that the structure from a finance perspective is quite similar for all of them. It's basically just an amalgamation, a group of a lot of real estate holdings, and then a certain percent of the net profits are paid out to investors. You want to find out what percent that is. In America, it's 90%. I think the same thing in Canada as well, with Brookfield and a bunch of others, real estate companies, whatever. But just look into that first. Yeah, and you should be able to read what's called the prospectus. Just like you read an IPO prospectus before investing in a stock, you should be able to read the prospectus or offering memorandum for whatever financial instrument that is in America, India, etc. Yeah, that should be readily available. Yeah, read it cover to cover, please. All right. I think I might have skipped a bunch of questions here. Sorry about that. If I skip anything, just post it again, guys. So we see here, Himanshu is saying we will watch that short video on Mars with Elon Musk. Yeah. I did a video on Elon Musk this past week on should you emulate Elon Musk, and I basically said no from a certain perspective. You guys can watch that video if you care. Yeah, thank you. All right. All right. Oh, Solly's in the house. Hey, Solly, how are you, buddy? Solly is he's originally from Iran. He lives in Lithuania. And he's one of my amazing students. And the great thing about Solly and another one of my students named Dante is they put their goals on the wall, on Post-it notes, and on the ceiling. So the first thing you see when you wake up are your goals. But once you get married, you can't do that anymore because you lose control of the walls and the ceiling when you get married. It's true. You're not like I if you guys could only see that you guys can't see, but I gutted the crown molding. I didn't even know what that meant until Christine said, "Oh my God, you gutted the crown molding." But I did when she was out in my studio here. Yeah. When you get married, you no longer have say over the crown molding or the walls or the ceiling. But until then, yes, put your goals on the wall, on Post-it notes or on the ceiling. So the first thing you see are your goals. So great to have you, Solly. And Solly loves to travel too. He hasn't traveled in a while, but I remember, I think it was last year, you came on this call and you're traveling the world. You were in Italy, you were in Rome once, and thank God you got all that traveling in then. It's kind of tough to do now. Yeah. Okay. And Arrowfell is writing here. I really love you. Oh, thank you. I love you too. Thank you. Arrowfay is writing. Sorry, my eyes aren't that great. Arrowfay is writing. I really love you. I love you too. Can you please tell me some tips for Udemy courses? I'm working on my course. And I would appreciate your tips. Yeah, Arrowfay, thank you very much. Yeah, so the best tips I can give you are based on mistakes I've made. And by the way, if you guys work for a jerk, which happened to me once, maybe more than once, I'm not sure. No, it was only once. But if you guys work for a jerk, you can learn from that jerk what not to do as well as what to do. And hopefully you don't think I'm a jerk, but I want to show you my courses here. So all you have to do is you go over to go to my Udemy page here, search for my name, Chris Haroun, I think that's how you pronounce it. And if you go to my profile page, then what you can do is you can actually look at some of my free courses. Maybe I'll go to all filters. Let's work for free. Let's see here. Features, free, apply. I have some free courses. Yeah, here it is. Good. Okay, yeah. So I made this course called 40 Tips on How to Make a Great Online Course based on 40 mistakes I've made. so you can work smarter, not harder. So that will help you. That's one. Hold on one second. I meant to paste something before. That was for the presentation course. This is for the 40 tips course. I just pasted it there. And then I did another one the next year, which this one's over 4 hours. I really poured my heart into this one, both of them actually, on how to do it. And I actually made this course in a gazillion different languages as well, not just English, all free, because I think that education and technology can change the world. So anyway, check it out there. And Aerofe, thank you very much for that comment. And I hope it helps you out, those 80 tips and those 2 free courses I provide you with. And just remember what Seth Godin said, who's a brilliant marketing man. He said, you already have everything you need to build something bigger than yourself. You do. You have internet access because you're watching this, and you probably have an Android handset or an iPhone. You got all you need. Just watch my free courses and start putting your brilliance online. And if you have questions along the way, you can always ask me on this call. And I'll do whatever I humbly can to help, because I've made every mistake there is to possibly make when it comes to online teaching. Thank you. Like last week, you guys all know, God bless you all for sticking with me patience-wise last week, but my eyes were actually glowing in all camera angles because I messed up something. But I keep pushing the goalpost out. That's how we say it in Canada, to try to improve. But yeah, I still make mistakes, a lot of them. All right, Solly is saying, since stocks are down, cryptocurrencies are down as well. So if stocks can affect Bitcoin, then it's indeed vulnerable. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I mean, anything that's risky is getting hit hard. On Wall Street, they used to call it de-risking. And so any asset class considered risky has gone down a lot. Yeah, and for a lot of people, it doesn't even make sense to mine cryptocurrencies anymore at the prices that cryptos are at right now. And what usually happens is when the price of cryptocurrencies goes up, more people start to mine, and video gamers hate cryptocurrency miners because they use these things here, which are graphics cards. And the price of graphics cards goes up a lot, and that's very hot. Don't do that. The price of graphics card goes up a lot when cryptocurrency prices go up as well, and video gamers hate that sort of thing. Yeah. And I can't wait to take this thing apart, dude, to play GTA 5 all modded out. That game is a beast. 2013, and it's still relevant. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. And by the way, for those of you that play that game, Trevor in that game, he's Canadian, but he's not representative of Canadians really, though. Okay. All right. And Solly is listing a couple of cryptocurrencies here. He's saying a couple of cryptocurrencies like Plus Token, OneCoin, and BitConnect scams threaten the cryptocurrency sector much more than the paper-based fiat currency. So fiat is paper currency, yeah. Also, 50% plus one issue with these currencies is another issue. What security will it have if it's not controllable against these issues? Yeah. So what Solly's referring to with the 50% plus one attack or 50% plus one issue is you can actually take control of a cryptocurrency and rig it if you have more than 50% of the processing power on the planet of the Earth. I don't know what other planet there be when you're mining these cryptos, but it's almost impossible for somebody to do that when it comes to the more elaborate or more, I guess, the larger cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. So I wouldn't worry about it for the larger ones, but yes, I would worry about it for some of the smaller ones. Always do your due diligence. And in the cryptocurrency portion of the MBA degree program, you know, we're currently talking about this. And I provide you with a 49-step framework similar to an IPO prospectus on how to analyze cryptocurrencies. So that would be one of them as well when you're looking at the 51% TAC probability. And I don't pretend to have all the answers. A lot of it's over my head, to be intellectually honest. The sector changes fast. And we just got one more little cryptocurrency thing we're going to talk about in class, next class, which is mining. And I'm going to show you how to get this thing to work from a mining perspective, and then we're done. And it's a much more up-to-date version of how to mine versus my Udemy course version, because my Udemy course version was older technology. It was hard to do. Now it's simple. And for those of you that are techies out there, I used to use Claymore mining. It was a dual miner, so I can mine a couple of cryptos at once. Now I just use Nanopool's own brand miner, which is easy to set up. All right. Next up is Solly saying YouTube algorithm cough that forehead scratching while you're talking. We take the lawyer's page. It's demonized. Yeah. Yeah. You know how I feel about lawyers. Although my neighbor Emoji, she's a lawyer. She's great. She's cool, and she's not even a civil rights lawyer. She's great. And Solly is saying, can you shoot a video for next week? Which video do you mean? Let me know. You might have been referring to something I said earlier. I'm having a senior moment now. The older I get, the better I was. So let me know what you're talking about. Thanks. And before I go on, I'm going to scroll down the bottom to see if we had this guy from China who's on the call now, he's a doctor. He's been working on coronavirus cure in China for a while. I want to see if he's here because I asked him if he wants to come on to do a Zoom call. Let me go down here. I don't see him. No, he's not here. Okay. Back to bigger mode, Chris. Here we go. All right. Next up, Melody is saying, I'm trying to add an intro and outro for your YouTube videos. Yeah, I had it for a while. Again, I took it off only because I felt that it was just taking up too much time. And I just didn't have time to... Editing took forever, man. These things, yeah. And then Solly's saying you can add the intro, etc. later once you have some videos. Publishing will help you be serious about it. Yeah. I agree with Solly. Just like, and Solly's got some great videos. He started to do social media stuff and YouTube, and he has this really inspirational one he did in the grocery store in Lithuania where he lives, which was great. And it was simplistic, but it worked, and less is more. I agree with Solly. Just keep it simple. Get it up and running. You'll never be perfect. You'll never be perfect with courses you make online or anything. Just get it out there. Otherwise, it'll never be published. You got to be comfortable with imperfection, which I certainly am. Okay. And then Melody said, kids like to look at pictures, so I'm learning some techniques with Premiere Pro as part of the Adobe suite. Yeah, we use that now too. I used to use, I started off using iMovie, which is free on a Mac. Then I graduated to Final Cut, and now we use Premiere Pro because you can do a lot more advanced stuff there. Yeah. And Melody wrote that presentation course is pure gold. Thank you. The star of that one was my son, not me. And Gregory wrote, Chris, it's a great trailer for public speaking in the course also. Thank you. I appreciate it. And the credit there goes to Adad, this dude I hired to do it. Cost a bunch, but we made more than 10x. Great return on investment. It pays to advertise. Always. Yeah. And Melody wrote, Chris, your son is so cute. Thank you. He takes after Christine. Yeah. And earlier on, I was saying how the number of people at the gym that I'm seeing has gone up a lot. And my thesis was because a lot of people are working from home. I go to the gym during the day. Because a lot of people are working from home, they're like, screw it, I'll just go to the gym. And then Gregory's saying, also sports and gym makes your immune system better. That might have something to do with it too. Smart. And then Melody is saying, Friday Night Lights is the best show ever. I agree. It rocks. And you wrote, I wish they could do a remake or a spin-off of that show. I watched the movie after I watched the show, and it's great. And Coach Carter, I can't remember his name in real life, but he's a hell of an actor as well. He's great. Kyle Chandler. Yeah. And Kyle Chandler has a great quote about opportunity. He says, opportunity comes not when you knock on the door, but when you bang your fist through it until it crashes. Yeah, he's right. He's a great actor. Yeah, he was in The Wolf of Wall Street as well. Great show. For those who have Netflix, watch Friday Night Lights. Yeah, it's a great show. It's amazing. Okay. And then Zach. Hey, Zach, how are you? Zach is saying, hi, Chris. As they say, data is the new oil. How can we utilize publicly available data? Yeah, there's a website called Wolfram that you can play around with. It's for nerds like me. And there's an entire ecosystem around it now. So Wolfram, it's been a year since I've done this. This will correct me data-wise. Here it is here. Yeah, Wolfram Alpha. So what you can do is you can go here, and there's so much data you can download and play around with. A lot of it's free. It's awesome. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. So you want to mess around with chemistry, you can go here and download a lot of stuff like chemical compounds. It's insane how much data there is here. So check it out. What I'll do is I will just paste this. I'll paste this, and I started using this back in 2011 or 2010 or 11. Yeah. Let me go here and I'll paste this for you guys to see if you want to access it. Okay. Next up is Ocean O, who's saying, hi, Chris. Hey, you mentioned timing is really important in order to be successful in business in your Udemy MBA course. Thank you. How can we analyze if it's good timing to launch your product in the market? I would say that there's something called first mover advantage. And of course, it's important to be early. But sometimes I feel that being second is not a bad thing. So maybe you can see if there's some sort of traction in the market yet. And there's light at the end of the tunnel, meaning, do you think this market will be, a palpable or big market within a couple of years? If so, then it's cool to start a company that the sector hasn't really taken off. If you're within a couple of years of that reaching, critical mass, that sort of thing. That's what I would say. Yeah. All right. And then Gregory's saying that we change our time, the hours at the end of March in Europe. Oh, I didn't know that. We changed it here this past weekend. That's why, because I had a lot of my students actually for my MBA degree program. We start at 9 a.m. On Mondays and Tuesdays, and then we have a 4 p.m. session for time zone 2. But time zone 1, a lot of people came late. And Eric actually, who lives in the Netherlands, he and a bunch of other people mentioned they didn't know the time changed. Yeah. Yeah, I should tell my students next time. Thank you. And then next up, we've got, looks like I ran out of battery on this thing. You got to keep it warm water, warm coffee, whatever. It's good for eliminating viruses, apparently. Don't drink cold water only. And you should always be drinking water, according to Stanford. And if you guys want more details on that, just go to the description of today's video. In YouTube, I pasted an email from a buddy of mine whose mom worked in the Stanford University hospital system for 30 years. Yeah. All right. So Ocean O is saying, thanks, Chris. You're most welcome. I only had one semester earned Dean's List during my 4 years in college, which is the spring of 2015. Then all semesters later, my grades are so poor. Should I add year 2015 when I made the Dean's List my resume, or just mention Dean's List without a year? I would leave it off, only because if you wrote 2015, then they might ask, what about 2016 and 17? It's kind of like if you have 2 degrees, degree 1 and degree 2. If degree 1, you're on the Dean's List and you weren't for degree 2, don't put it for degree 1 because they're going to ask what happened. Yeah. And don't worry, people don't take grades that seriously anyway. Anybody that's successful knows that relationships are more important than product knowledge. And my students, when I used to teach during the evenings, the ones with the best grades were never the most successful, ever. It was always the ones that were kind of social, like to hang out and stuff. And, because that's what business is. Business is about relationships. And then next up, Valens, who's one of my MBA degree students, who's originally from Indonesia, but he now lives in New Zealand. Valens is saying, good morning, Chris. Just wondering, at the end of the MBA, do we get all your courses? Yes. Next up is Joao. Joao, how are you? Joao is saying, hey, Chris, I haven't been here for a while. Hope you're doing well. Any tips on how to create authority, either online or at the workplace? Yeah, thanks. So welcome back, Joao. And the way to be an authority in any particular sector is to be a thought leader. And the way to be a thought leader is to think of yourself as a thought leader. Perception becomes reality. So how do you be a thought leader? Well, you do what you're passionate about and you write about it or vlog about it a lot, right? And so what I do is I vlog every day. I have videos on LinkedIn, Twitter, a bunch of other places, whatever, obviously YouTube. And I talk about business. and I answer questions for students. And so try to think of yourself as a thought leader in that respect. And those that are thought leaders are ones that think they are thought leaders first. Then they become. Perception becomes reality. So start blogging or vlogging or both often. And eventually you'll be thought of as a thought leader. And even write a book even, right? So, this is I have a lot of my students have written books, and these are just some of them I'll show you. And what you can do is you can go to my website, harounventures.com / all lowercase, write book, all one word. harounventures.com / write book, all one word. You can use my template to write books like a lot of my students have. And you can be thought of as a thought leader, right? So, like Yolanda, one of my MBA degree students, she's great. She wrote The Smart Guide to Healthcare Savings. So she's the thought leader when it comes to healthcare and savings. And she actually gives this book out when she's in meetings with potential customers, business contacts, etc. Same thing with Eric. Eric is one of my awesome MBA students as well. He's in the Netherlands, and he's a teacher. He teaches online as well, and he has wonderful training experience as well, having worked at BMY, that's Bristol Myers. And he wrote this great book, and he gives this out as well, I'm sure, to potential customers, business contacts, etc. I think, therefore I am, as is the Rodin sculpture. And you got to be the same way as well. You got to think of yourself as a thought leader. Write a book. It's easy to do. It's free. Anyone can do it. And then hand that book out whenever you meet with potential business contacts. Or what you can do is write your book, and then you can gut it by copying each chapter and pasting it into LinkedIn every day for 100 days, 101 days, which is what I did with my first book called The 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School. Thought leadership and leadership from a management and business perspective starts up here. I think, therefore I am. Start vlogging and blogging daily if you can. And don't be perfect, because I promise you'll never be perfect, ever. Just get it out there. Like with my book, there's a ton of grammar errors, whatever, that people told me about later, whatever. I got it out there. If I try to be perfect, it would never exist. Yeah. It's kind of like for those of you that are programmers out there, when a customer asks you to create a coding module, at first you have all these grand plans to have all these beautiful bells and whistles in the graphical user interface, the GUI. And then right at the end, when you're about to deliver, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to deliver just the need to haves, not the nice to haves, because the last 5% of that project will take you 60% of the time, whatever, to do. Just get it out there, man. It'll never be perfect. Just get her done. And the way to get things done and to reach your goals in life is to set goals, but also have a deadline date. Tell your family and friends about it too. I plan to publish a book by December or whatever it is. Vocalize your goals. If you do it, it'll put pressure on you, and I say it with love in my heart. It'll put pressure on you in a good way to get it done. Because most people fail with their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January because they don't set a deadline date and they just give up. Set a deadline date. Write it down. If you write down your goals, the probability of them coming true goes up materially. And one of my amazing students, who's currently on this webcast, named Solly, he lives in Lithuania. He writes down all his goals and puts them on the wall, and he categorizes them too. It's brilliant. And I have another student named Dante who puts his goals on the ceiling. So when he wakes up, he lives in Montreal now. When he wakes up, he sees his goals on the ceiling. Brilliant. Okay. Next up, Melody's saying, oh, Chris, I don't know if I told you, but I'm having a major publisher posting my article this Friday. Woo! That's awesome. And that article is about how to support ESOL students. What's ESOL? I don't know what that stands for. ESL, English as a Second Language. Congratulations. That's awesome. You got to social media the heck out of that on LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever. You got to go all out. All out. And since it's a reputable company you mentioned here, or I think you're applying, you can also put that on the back of your book as well. Okay. And you can also put that on your LinkedIn profile as well. Yeah. Kind of like people do, as seen on TV. Like what I do on my website at the top is I have press stuff, whatever. Some of my press stuff. Yeah. Yeah. And I hate to quote Donald Trump, but I'm going to now. And actually, I had Donald Trump, before he was elected, one of the chapters in my book, which I released in 2015, called 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach in Business School. It was called Why Donald Trump is Right About This. And I took it out only because I didn't want to, I'll never tell people my political affiliation. You know, I was a Republican as a kid growing up in Canada. I loved Ronald Reagan in the 80s. I moved to the States and finally I could vote. And I did not vote for Trump. Although I guess I'm a libertarian now. That's the alarm. So I got to wrap up this call in a second, guys. But that chapter about that chapter about Donald Trump, I renamed it. But Donald Trump said this years ago. He said, "If you don't remind people of your accomplishments, they'll soon forget." And I know it sounds arrogant to be that way, but you have to self-promote, especially in this new social media age. You have to remind people. You know, if you don't, they'll never know. And I know it sounds obnoxious to remind people, but again, if you don't brag about your accomplishments, nobody will ever know. So he's right with that. This is where I get a lot of thumbs down. Okay. Awesome. I'm happy for you, Melody. This is awesome. Thank you. And Gregory is saying you have to know your customers' needs and understand them. And find the product suited for their needs. Yeah. And I think that a company is only as good as their customer service. I really believe that. I really believe that. And that's why Amazon has been so incredibly successful. You know, it's not because they have the lowest prices. That's not why. It's also because they have great customer service. I don't mind paying a little premium for a brand that's going to work, like my iPhone, for example. I know this is more expensive than if I got an Android handset, but I don't care because it works. A company is only as good as their customer service. And they got great customer service too, with the Genius Bar, etc. Yeah. And oh my God, Dave, Mr. Nitro, dude, I miss you, brother. Mr. Nitro wrote, just wanted to say, hi, Chris. I hope the family are doing well. Thank you, Matt. It's great to have you. Dude, it's been like eight or 9 months or something at least. I miss you. It's great to have you back up in Canada. And I know that because he lives in Northern California now. And Dave, or Mr. Nitro, he was one of my first subscribers on my YouTube channel and one of the first people to ever come on my weekly call. And he sent me this really, really nice package. Thank you. His wife went home and brought back stuff for me, including the best Canadian chocolate bars, like Coffee Crisp, which I didn't realize I thought it was everywhere in the world. It's just Canadian. It's the best. And then also a bunch of other stuff, and ketchup chips too, which I love. Thank you. The Hostess potato chips and a Tim Hortons mug and a little bit of Tim Hortons coffee. So thank you very much for that. I use the mug all the time. Thank you. God bless you. Great to have you. Great to have you. Thank you. And then Valens, who's one of my great MBA students, who's from Indonesia but lives in New Zealand now, is saying, I just did a webinar to our resellers. For most of the people, they found it very useful. But there is this one person that doesn't like the content. You probably get more like this. How do you handle this? If it's just one person, who cares? I mean, whatever. I don't... Like, I've been criticized a bunch. You get people that are just negative. And at first it kind of hurt. It was, I don't know, I've had some brutal comments on some of my stuff by people that are crazy. And the way I deal with it is this. Unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. I got to say it again. Unjustified criticism is nothing more than a disguised compliment. So bring it on, doubters. Bring it on. If you're not being criticized, then you're not doing it right. You know, people get envious pretty quickly. And Eleanor Roosevelt had this great quote years ago. She said, people are going to criticize you anyway, so you might as well just do it. Yeah. So whenever you hear somebody criticizing you and it's not fair, I want you to change the perception of how you interpret that, cognitively speaking, by telling yourself, they're so insecure that they're jealous. Oh, great. That's a compliment. Thank you. And if you don't know how to respond to somebody in person at work, and you're in the middle of this political, chaotic environment, You say 2 words. You say, I understand. That's all you say. Because if somebody says something contentious to you at work and you say, I understand, you're not saying I agree with you or I disagree. You're just saying, I understand. Try it out. It works. Next up is Melody is saying English as a second language. I was going to ask if I should post it to LinkedIn. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Please do. And then Jason is saying our kids are off school tomorrow, but I pulled them out one day early as it was a sports day. A lot of people touching hands. Smart, Jason. Jason's kind of like my personal authority on this because he and Andrew, 2 of my great MBA students, were the first ones to kind of bring this whole thing to my attention. Yeah. That's smart. Yeah, and they canceled the NBA as well, all regular season games. And March Madness, which is college basketball, university basketball in America. No fans are allowed to go to those games. Yeah. And then Jason said, I just bought a digital thermometer. They're nearly out of stock everywhere. Oh, interesting. Yeah. And Eileen is saying, you just talk politics, Chris Law. I know, I try to stay out of it. Eh? And Eileen is saying, needed to hear this today, Chris. I used to care a lot about what other people thought. I started saying, I don't care. And it's liberating. Fucking A. It totally is. I don't care either. Okay. Everybody got to say to yourself, I don't care what people think of, and then fill in for X. Once you do that, you're no longer anybody's prisoner in your mind. And once you do that, you stop being afraid to fail. And once you stop being afraid to fail is when you can live your life in your own terms and embrace ultimate success. Okay. And then Gregory is saying, I hope spring training won't be canceled. Me too. And that's baseball spring training. I love baseball, man. It's a little bit too slow for me. And my Blue Jays have had the worst 3 years in a row they've had since the 70s when they were founded. But I love the game still. There's something therapeutic about listening to a baseball game in the background, you know? And it reminds me of my roots too. It reminds me of when I was a kid. The one thing my family and I all had in common was a love for baseball, or at least my dad, my brother, and I. My mom used to bring a book to the baseball game. Yeah, I miss it. What I did actually was a couple of years ago, and I'll bring this maybe on a next week's webcast. I bought an actual seat from the baseball stadium I used to go to as a kid with my dad and my family and brothers and friends, Exhibition Stadium. And I have it up in my attic in my man cave. And Jared is saying, I see your cryptocurrency miner in the backdrop. How is coronavirus affecting those markets? Actually, so it's becoming much less profitable. Like my daily profit, which is next to nothing on this, I'm doing it for educational purposes only, is going down because the cryptocurrency I'm mining has gone down a lot. And I noticed it immediately. Yeah. And then Gagan is saying, hey, Chris and everyone here. Gagan from Mumbai, India. I hope you and your family are well, sending loads of blessings and well-being. Thank you. Again, appreciate that. And great to have you. And I visited Mumbai, I think in 2016, in one of the universities I taught at, sent me over there to teach, just do a couple of sessions in Mumbai and then in Delhi. And that trip changed me. Now, Mumbai, for those of you not familiar, has 25 million people or so. And there's a lot of wealthy people, but also a lot that live in the slums. And we drove through the slums on the way to my hotel, and I've never seen people so happy with nothing. And it changed me. Everybody's got to go to India at some point. And my favorite food in the world, Gagan, is dosa. Because when I was in Mumbai and Delhi, at the airport, I went to Punjabi Grill, airport food I know, but I tried dosa, and it was the best food I've ever had in my life. And so for those of you that think you like Indian food, you have no idea. Like, yeah, there's tandoori chicken, naan bread, and all this great stuff, and lassis, the drinks in some restaurants. Next time you go to Indian food, ask for a dosa, and you'll never be the same. It's like the first time you eat a Krispy Kreme donut fresh out of the oven. And then Gregory wrote here, New York Yankees. Yeah, my son's he used to be a big Jeter fan, Derek Jeter, because he was born in New York. Yeah. Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you. I got to run now. I'm doing the MBA students only office hours. Got a text from my little sister saying, hi, Chichi. Daddy and I are watching together. Love you. Love you too. Thanks, guys. So thank you all for your time today. This was fun. Stay healthy. If you want, watch the very beginning of this video because I talk about how a friend of mine whose mom used to work at Stanford for 30 years in the hospital system, tips that she has on staying safe and all that stuff. And I'm not a doctor, so do your own research as well. And I also included that in the description field for this video. So I will see you all. If you subscribe to my vlog, I'll see you tomorrow. If not, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Thursday and every Thursday at 8 a.m. my time. Thank you.